Sure. Thank you. Yeah, I'll see you. Well, Jacob.
We check on Chuck?
Yeah, I'll make the bus. Close. Oh, there he is.
Scooter. Okay, it is 8:31. I'd like to call the meeting to order. On the agenda, I would just like to note for those in attendance, the 10:30 item is going to be removed. There is no special meeting that would be held this Thursday and at this time. We're waiting for more discussion or confirmation from Energy about having another meeting. So that will be removed. And just to clarify for those that are wondering, I'm trying to think, the fence replacement is the item that we discussed when Lyle and Charles and a bunch of us went out to the farms that had the hogs loose that we talked about a while back. So that's, we will have a discussion item there and approval, and there'll be a presentation with that. So if you have no questions, okay. This time, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda as changed. So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
At this time, if everybody would please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. At this time, we are open for public comments. If anybody would like to address the board at this time. Okay. Jacob, you got a clock on yours? In case we have several. Okay. Chuck, you want a time or do you want me to?
I can, or
Okay.
I can.
Okay. Okay, go
This
ahead.
won't take 5 minutes.
That's fine.
Just a quick question. I noticed on the agenda, where was it at? 10 o'clock, the discussion and discuss approve hiring Samuel's group for phase 2 of the jail project. When you guys get to that, is that the same project that was discussed 2 weeks ago that was going to be done internally? Just,
Yes,
I was just curious.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's part of that process.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kim Tudor.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes.
Sherry Hunter, Blanchard, Iowa. I just wanted to say a few things, and forgive me if I'm unorganized. First off, I went to the meeting last night by Energy, and I just wanted to say that as supervisors, obviously our ordinance is what they follow. So if somebody feels like they're too close to a turbine, it's really not Energy's fault. It's the fault of the ordinance we have in place, which we have said this the whole time. Businesses are businesses, and they're trying to make money and create a product that people want to buy. So we understand those sorts of things. Now, here's what I really, hold on. Sorry, I just didn't want to misquote, so I took a picture of a quote. So on KMA, Mark Kraut is quoted to say, there was a particular group of folks in the area that had some concerns with turbines located close to them, and they've got some family members with particular needs, said Kraut. We were able to make some adjustments to the layout to accommodate that specific landowner, end quote. Well, did any of you guys look up the 3 turbines that they took out? Did anyone, I mean, Mark Crowell, we've got him on record as lying. Nice guy, but lies. And he lied even last night, something he told me specific about Mid-America Energy. You guys were here. The substation is going to be turned over to Mid-America Energy. He lied about that last night. He said, nope, that's not going to happen, but we know it's going to happen in here. So I looked it up. You can find the 3 turbines on the project that they had originally had. It's all one large landowner. They've removed the turbines from his properties. So here's why it bothers me. I have a son with special needs, and I have been advocating for him. He makes it sound like they helped me out or people like me, but that's not the truth. It is not the truth. There are people that are 1,600 feet, do not want them. The other thing I wanted to just bring up, I talked to the experts about the health issues, and I feel like I'm running out of time, so I'm going to try to make this really clear. But we still don't know, first off, the height of the turbine. Chuck, you said in the meeting in January that when the project comes, they can. So I asked Crowell how tall. He said they don't know. They have a list of possibilities. So I just want them to make that clear. You have to vote on something when you don't even know what they're going to put up. So be careful is all I'm going to encourage you at. Then the other thing that I was going to say is so these non-participating landowners that are really close, do you think there will be a mental health issue to change their environment? Now, we can talk about health facts. One of the health experts last night actually got so mad when I was asking about pressure changes and just wanted some clarification of what they can do to mitigate that. He got so mad he cussed in front of my children. Like these are their professionals, and I'm just being honest. I know that I can be a little snarky, but I just want answers. And if I cannot question why they're there and what research they're standing on, then they shouldn't be there. They're not experts. And they were paid by Invenergy. That's what that specific guy told me. They were paid by Invenergy to be there. Invenergy said they weren't. So one of them is lying. And it kind of like, it's been kind of a repeat thing. So the other thing I wanted to mention is the Shenandoah School District. Last night it was highlighted that they would get so much money, right? Well, it wasn't too long ago we voted for a levy and it didn't pass. Now, listen, I love education. I went to school for education. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, you got to pay teachers better to have good quality education. And I know they're underfunded and I care about schools, and I'm mad that the levy maybe didn't pass. But I don't think it's right to steal property comfort from a few residents because the taxpayers don't want to pay for the school. I don't think that's fair at all. It's completely not fair. The next thing I'm going to say is we laugh about it all the time. We have a beautiful front porch and we have a neighbor right across the road. It probably bothers them, but we love to sit on the front porch and we talk about how our home is a place where people would love to vacation because it's so peaceful and beautiful. I want to know where the vacation homes are in wind farms. I want to know where the retreats are because all those experts last night said they would love to live in those or vacation in those homes. But they just don't happen because it's an industrial wind farm. The second thing is all the research they gave me on EEG or epilepsy.
Shirley, I'm really sorry if we're going to abide by.
All of their research was on one turbine, not a turbine farm. Makes a difference, the number of farms, the number of turbines. Sorry, I went over.
No,
That's okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Yes, Doug?
Good morning, Todd Maher. I just want to say, for the last 2.5 years, there's been a lot of talk. You've had tons of citizens come up here, talk to you about the wind turbine project, and ask you specifically for compromise, basically, and changing the ordinance and protecting those citizens that are non-participating and moving that setback back to the property line. And I think that's a small thing to be asking. They asked you through text, phone calls, and I know they've been to almost every meeting talking to you about it exhaustingly. And, you know, last Tuesday, they said it in the voting box. And I think you guys have an opportunity to do the right thing and change the ordinance and protect those citizens that are non-participating. And, you know, Alan, thank you for your service to Page County. They really want to be heard, and I think that's a small price to pay to, you know, compromise is not a dirty word. It's something that we could do to at least listen to the citizens and still kind of make everybody happy. So thank you.
Marcy Folk, I just want to add to what Sherry said. They also specified last night that none of the studies were done on children under the age of 18. So does that mean children shouldn't live in the country? They didn't even study them.
I'm Jeannie Ellison. I've been here before. I'm from East River Township. Keep in mind that when I speak, which I don't care to really do it, I'm representing my husband, my daughter and her husband and family who lives in East River. And I have adult children elsewhere that care about the family farm and have in the back of their minds maybe returning to Page County. I wondered about the people that you guys say call you supporting turbines because they're afraid of being bullied. I thought, do they keep the list? Are they keeping count? How many are there? Well, they weren't going to be bullied at the voting booth the other day. And I believe they did not come up and support the wind turbines because Alan, you lost. You guys are the bullies, and you're the worst kind of bullies. The ones that have power and have been in power for some time. You throw the bully word out so easily. I hate to use it, but it's truly how I feel. And Sherry, I don't think you're the least bit snarky. I think she's brave to be so adamant about returning time and time again, speaking up. I feel like the supervisors are kind of like the old Southern ladies that say, why, bless your heart. And they're not giving you any blessings of any kind. I was at the meeting last night and I specifically talked to the economic expert. And I said, if the setbacks were from property lines, would you still be interested in Page County? He said, no, the turbines project wouldn't go. And that's been the request for so many of us from the property lines. And the other thing from last night's meeting, that chart that they put up that showed all the millions of dollars that Page County was going to get. And the speaker was specifically asked, how many years is in that chart? And the guy said, oh, 25, or maybe the project might be 30, 35 years. Well, I looked at that chart previously, speaking to the economic guy, and he told me 20. And I said, oh, well, it says to 2063. Those figures were for 40 years. The economic guy told me something different, and the speaker told me something different, or answered the question differently. So, I mean, that was kind of might have been a little hostility there, but it was pretty obvious that it was merely propaganda. If it was a public meeting supported by the Board of Supervisors, I'm truly disappointed.
Anyone else? Yes.
Jesse Stimson. I've been in discussion with one other person in this room, and we've been talking about it for a while now. There's a county, Palo Alto in Iowa, I believe, that hired an outside engineering firm to come in and as a third party to look at the decommissioning as well as, for sure, decommissioning. I'll have to look to see what their other determinations might have been. And so I wanted to see, and I think I can get access to the information that they found. I'll have to call Palo Alto to get that, or maybe Jacob could, or somebody could. And they looked to see if what had been set in place in that ordinance, if the decommissioning dollars were enough. And if I remember right, I'm not going to throw out numbers because I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was not nearly enough set aside. And so had they gone with what the county or the Invenergy or the company had gone with, then they would have been far short. And so have we, has JD or have you guys discussed the possibility of having a third-party engineering firm come in that has no connection to Invenergy or any of the Mid-America or to the county? You would all have to determine who that firm would be that would come in, and we'd probably have to make an agreement to all agree to that firm. But is that a possibility of having somebody like that come in and help us determine? And because I think right now, I don't know, I haven't talked to JD or anybody to find out if there's been outside input on that has no special interest. So I think that's something that I would pose as maybe you guys possibly doing, and that means you would have to delay any proposal approval to do that. And so are you interested in doing that? And that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jesse.
I just wanted to say.
Go ahead. Announce who you are.
Oh, Judy Kennedy.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that you say there are lots of people who are for the wind turbines, but they're never here. And the people that are here, you're not listening to. And I would just like to ask that you listen to the people who are involved and who are here. And I'm speaking not because I have a place that is I'm concerned about the wind turbines, but I have children who have property who are going to be highly affected. They only have 5 acres, and they're not going to be able to use a lot of that 5 acres because of the setback. So I would just ask that you listen to the people who are coming, who are involved, who are, busy with you guys. That's all I wanted is just to say, is just please listen.
Anyone else? Oh.
Kim Tudor. This was a picture and a quote that has been posted online, and I just wanted to share it with you. It basically says, and just take this to heart, we have failed as a county if the only way we can improve the lives of some people is to destroy the lives of others.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Hakes. I'm currently a Taylor County resident, but I soon will be a Page County resident. And my brother and my nephew, our land has been in my family since 1856. And I'm proud of that. I wish everyone could have that. Don't you have it? Come up here with me for a second. I need a hug.
All I'm asking is for you guys to all look within your hearts. There's nothing wrong with admitting maybe you need to take a step back and reconsider some of this. I know you live in town. And would you like to live near the trains? That's what I'm saying. Even when I leave Newmarket in the morning, it is a steady red light horizon. And it makes me feel so bad for the families with children who have special needs. I don't begrudge people making extra money for farms because I know how hard it is. Don't you, Hadley? Yes, okay. But all I'm saying is just don't be afraid to step back and look within your eyes and think about it. Just
Second.
thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tracy Grossamy, and I would just like to take a moment to reiterate the fact that I don't think it is unreasonable at all to ask that if you have an investment, that you have enough land to house the liability of the investment on your own land. You should not be allowed to spill that over onto someone else's land. That is not unreasonable to ask. We would really, again, just urge you to make that setback line from the property. It is not fair to non-participating landowners to ask them to put a setback on their land, which, just to be clear, that is what the turbine companies have determined is an unsafe zone around that turbine. Whether you agree with that or not, that is what they say for their machines. It's not fair to ask someone to spill that liability onto their land without any compensation, any say, so that their neighbor can make money. We are not begrudging, just as the last lady said, we are not begrudging anyone making money. They have that opportunity. We are not asking that they don't come. We are asking that they come fairly. Please put it from the property line.
I just wanted to clarify something on that. Jesse Stimson again here. Early on, we kind of talked about how the neighbors needed to talk to each other about coming to an agreement, and I'm in a conversation continuously with somebody who's for turbines, and he just says, well, just go to the supervisors and go and have Invenergy come to a meeting and have your neighbor come with you, and you can determine where you want to put the turbine. And he's kind of one of the head honchos in this whole movement of pro people in this county. And it's like, we've been doing that for 2.5 years. What are you talking about? Have you not been paying attention? He's got his blinders on because he doesn't want to believe it, or he knows it's true and doesn't want to admit it. Really, it's the ordinances that protect people. We're being told that we as neighbors need to talk to each other, but everywhere in the country that these go, it destroys relationships between neighbors and communities. So why is it suggested that the neighbors need to work it out? It just doesn't work that way because we're individualistic here in America, and we have firm beliefs and property rights about what we can do on our own property, and that's great in most cases, but turbines seem to have really changed that because I think the liability is one part of that, there's so much liability that crosses over into the neighbor's property with those danger zones and setbacks of 1/2 mile suggested by Vestas and these turbine makers. And so I think the ordinance is definitely where that change has to be made, and I think will be made here in the future. And that's where it has to start, where the protections have to start, because why wouldn't we have done that in the beginning? Because now we have neighbors that won't talk to us, and that might be for the rest of our lives. Hopefully we can repair those relationships, but we've been forced to come here and stand up for the little guy, the little property owners. And the people that have signed up are mad at us, we're mad at them, but really we don't begrudge people making money, but we begrudge when they don't come fairly. If the county's gonna side with the ones that want them and just throw us, the little guy and the non-participators to the side, then that's not fair and it shouldn't happen, period, really. So the ordinance is where it starts. You have to do the property line because or have a setback of a mile. Otherwise, without that property line protection, it's the 1,500 is subjective. It should be according to what Vestas or any other turbine maker says it should be. If they're or Invenergy or Mid-America, if their person has to, and we know it's true. We have a contact that says it's true, even to this day, that setback has to be that employee has to drive half a mile away from that turbine in a storm. And right now you have people's homes within 1,500 foot. That doesn't make any sense at all. I think Vestas and some of these companies have removed that information now because people are catching on. That's just wrong in the face of it right there. So our kids are going to be out playing or in the house, period. And we're sitting right in the middle of that danger zone. I don't know what to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Crystal Worrell, and something that I gathered from some pictures from last night's meeting we were unable to attend was a word from, I believe, one of the doctors claiming that the infrasound concerns were a placebo effect or a sham. I want to just point out that when I first was introduced to the wind turbine area, I stated this a few months ago, I thought that it was a great idea. And then I started personally having issues. I couldn't drive through the red lights, started gaining migraines from visiting my mom in Tarkio. Temporarily, we lived with her in Tarkio, and I can't tell you how many days I did not have a migraine, probably on one hand. Lawsuit after lawsuit against Invenergy, particularly for the health effects that people are experiencing. I don't believe it's a placebo effect as they claimed. One of the cases that stuck out to me was one called Williams versus Invenergy. It was in Portland, Oregon. The date of it was April 28th of 2016. That's where that trail stopped, but Invenergy invested a lot to get testimonials tossed out against the infrasound count. So basically, I believe they were able to spend more money than the plaintiff, and plaintiff wasn't able to prove scientifically how the infrasound was affecting him. Personally, I didn't even know what infrasound was being produced by these until I started having problems and I started digging into it. So I don't believe it was a placebo effect at all. But with lawsuit being a word in the air, I hate to see that hit at such a personal level in this community. We shouldn't have to hear of individuals threatening litigation against our county elected officials for not protecting our small property rights, okay? Now, to sue a large corporation, a large company, you hear of that a lot. But I feel, and it hit me, I was listening to a podcast last night where a lady by the name of
just a moment. Julie Kuntz from up in northwestern Iowa, is that right? Worth County. She mentioned on this podcast how Page County residents, and she was going through several lawsuits of Invenergy suing the local county for ordinance changes, Invenergy suing, you know, county communities to bully and to intimidate the communities into bending over and accepting that this project was just going to come in no matter what. That you either take their little bit of money that they can produce for you, or they'll bankrupt you and do it anyway. Is that really somebody that we want to lock hands with? I mean, I feel like we are strong enough. If we've been able to pull up and voice out this loud against just wanting to go setbacks to the property line, and you guys have pushed back against that. We're under a microscope right now, being a county resident, going after our county officials. And I almost wanted to be proud that that was mentioned in this podcast, but really, it made me sad that we have come to that as a community. So I hope that that reflects into you guys, into your hearts, that we can make a change and cause and give a positive perspective from this, that we can pull together as a community and push against this force that's being intimidated into us. We do not have to live among things that cause migraines. We do not have to live among somebody else's investment. So we're strong enough, and I believe that we can make those changes to make at least to the property line. Okay, I don't want the infrasound infecting my home, my kids. So I really feel like we're strong enough as a community to, I mean, look at the division. Okay, if we want to pull that together, we said before, a compromise is where nobody's exactly 100% happy. Can we please meet that compromise so we can get out from underneath this microscope, because we're becoming a joke, and I don't want to be part of that joke.
Thanks, Crystal. Anyone else? Okay. This time, engineer update, JD.
Morning, JD King, Page County Engineer. Obviously, the group is not here to hear about engineer stuff, but we are blading, hauling rock, setting up for some pipe work on J53. Room and aggregate down on J55 where it's prone to bleed in the heat. The custom rock haul is underway, probably another week and a half. We go on that, but we're still paving out on the Stanton Road, and they talked about having the shouldering crew come in a couple weeks from now, but it was setting at the intersection with 2 this morning.
That's the shoulder crew that was there.
The shoulder machine was there.
Okay.
So are there questions about that? I could direct your attention to a title sheet. I have a title sheet for a bridge project in Essex West. It's in the October levy.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we approve the road swap 2412.
I'll second.
Okay. So been a motion and a second to sign the title sheet for the project on the Essex West Bridge. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll start signing and I'll pass it down through.
The other agenda item I have is I changed the personnel policy recently. I attempted to hire a weed commissioner back on the 6th of May, which was prior to the personnel policy about no wage increases in the fourth, with somebody hired in the fourth quarter. But that gentleman, after he accepted the job, he declined the job because his employer made him a better offer. So now I've hired another guy on the 25th of May. That's when the letter went out. He actually started yesterday. So I understand there was a incident that prompted this fourth quarter hiring freeze incident, but it shouldn't be used in my weed commissioners in this circumstance. So I request a waiver of that freeze for the weed commissioner that's working now.
Well, I make that motion. We're required by code to have a weed commissioner, I believe.
Yep.
And we made an offer with, before the policy with a dollar figure to hire somebody, had somebody hired, and they backed out.
Correct.
I think from my point of view, the purpose of that policy was to just have a process in place where when we had those fourth quarter hires,
We could
the
discuss.
department head could bring that forward and we could make individual decisions. So I would make a motion in this case, we allow it.
Okay, then a motion and a second. Jacob, I'm not sure if you're on or not. There you are. Okay. Anyway, motion and a second to accept the waiver, the request of waiver for the weed commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll be back at 10 o'clock.
Okay. Next item up is to discuss approve the 2022 primary election canvas. And at this time, I think, Christie, you're going to pass that out to us or to Sal? Okay. Okay. Thanks, JD.
Mr. Chairman, while that's being passed out.
Okay. Did you get your signature sheet? Yep. Okay. Thanks, JD. I don't need to if you want to give something else.
Oh, you each get 3. Since you left.
No, good for him. I'll teach him.
What happened?
I said, since you left.
Oh, yeah, give him an extra.
You ready?
Do you want to wait for Chuck
Okay.
or?
I do have the little, this is what you're, just paper clip right there.
Okay.
I forgot.
No.
So you're gonna start with Florida 1, correct?
Brenda, one. Yep.
Yep, so just a couple things before we get started. I did give you all a email from the Unison, our Unison vendor, just explaining with the equipment, what transpired there, and an apology from them. So I wanted to make sure you guys had a copy of that. And then we did hold the recount last week, and these would be the results after the recount, so.
Okay.
Are you ready?
We go. Okay, so I need
So
to,
just read representative.
okay, Carlin and Brass. 1 point. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're going to be starting out with the Brenda Lee Library 1. United States Senator Jim Carlin, 59, Chuck Grassley, 124, 0 write-ins. Next one is United States Representative, District 3, Nicole Hasso, 33, Gary Leffler, 35, Zach Nunn, 87, 3 write-ins. You know the other ones.
Do you want the undervotes?
Okay. Next is Governor Kim Reynolds, 167, write-ins 1. Next is Secretary of State, Paul Pate, 170. Next is Auditor of State, Halver, 76, Hanusa, 81. Treasurer of State, Smith, 163. Agriculture Secretary, Mike Naig, 163. Attorney General, Brenna Bird, 161. State Senator, District 9, Shipley, 167. State Representative, District 17, Dykstra, 99. Devin Wood, 73.
Melissa, you're gonna flip page District 18, because that isn't, or this precinct. So,
Okay, County Board of Supervisors, District 2, Armstrong, 47, Maher, 134. Treasurer, Andy Dow, 176. Recorder, Brenda Zias, 177. County Attorney, Sonkson, 173.
and now we're back to the top for Democrat.
United States Senator, Finkenauer, 7. Franken, 10. Hurst, 2. Representative, Axney, 19. Governor, DeGier, 18. Secretary of State, Joel Miller, 11. Van Lanker, 6. Auditor of State, Rob Sand, 17. Treasurer of State, Michael Fitzgerald, 17. Secretary of Agriculture, Norwood, 17. Attorney General, Miller, 18. State Senator, District 9, 1 write-in. State Representative, District 17, 1 write-in. County Board of Supervisors, 4 write-in. County Treasurer, 1 write-in. County Recorder, 1 write-in. County Attorney, 1 write-in. I can fold it up, put it back in the book. Okay.
All right, we have Clarinda 2. Carlin, 85, Grassley, 186. Hasso, are you ready for the next one? Sorry, Hasso, 49, Leffler, 56, Nunn, 145, 1 write-in. Kim Reynolds, 260 with 1 write-in. Paul Pate, 247 with 2 write-ins. Todd Halber, 93, Marianne Hanusa, 153. Roby Smith, 244, 1 write-in. Mike Naig, 244. Brenna Bird, 238 with 1 write-in. Tom Shipley, 246 with one write-in. Paul Dykstra, 147, Devin Wood, 117 with one write-in. Alan Armstrong, 69, Todd Maher, 206. County Treasurer, 259 for Angie. Brenda with 258 and one write-in. Carl, 249 with one write-in. And now to the Democratic ticket. Abby Finkenauer, 28, Michael Franken, 17, Hurst, 6. Cindy Axney, 50. DeGear, 51. Miller, 41. Van Lanker, 6. Sand, 49. Fitzgerald, 49. Norwood, 49. Miller, 49. Let's see, no candidates there. We had 3 write-ins on the District 9. District 17, we had 4 write-ins. 4 write-ins for the Board of Supervisors, 3 write-ins for the treasurer, 3 write-ins for the recorder, and 2 write-ins for the county attorney.
Ready? No? Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. Page County Courthouse 1, Carlin 36, Grassley 111. Representative District 3, Hasso 23, Gary Leffler 21, Zach 988, no write-in. Sorry. Reynolds for governor, 144, 2 write-ins. Secretary of State, Pate, 137, 0 write-ins. Auditor, Halber, 80, Musa, 49, no write-in. Treasurer of the State, Smith, 129, 0 write-in. Secretary of Agriculture, Egg, 132, no write-ins. Brenna Bird for Attorney General, 128, 1 write-in. Senator District 9, Shipley, 131, 3 write-ins. State Representative District 18, Moore, 130. No write-ins. County Board of Supervisors District 2, Armstrong, 19, Todd Mayer, 127. No write-ins. Treasurer, Angie Dow, 139, no write-ins. County Recorder, Brenda Zias, 138, 2 write-ins. County Attorney, Carl Thompson, 129, 2 write-ins. Now we're to the Democrat side of things. Senator Finkenauer, 3, Franken, 5, Glenn Hurst, 1, no write-ins. United States Representative District 3, Cindy Axney, 9, 0 write-ins. Governor, DeGear, 8, no write-ins. Secretary of State, Miller, 5, Van Lanker, 3, no write-ins. Auditor, State, Sand, 9, no write-ins. Treasurer of State, Fitzgerald, 9, no write-ins. Secretary of Agriculture, Norwood, 9, no write-ins. Attorney General, Miller, 9, 0 write-ins. State Senator had 1 write-in. State Representative District 18, 1 write-in. County Board of Supervisors District 2, no vote. County Treasurer, 0 votes.
County recorder, 0. County attorney, 0. And that's it.
Okay, next group up, Melissa, is Page County Courthouse 2. Let me know when you're ready. Okay. We have United States Senator Carlin, 54, Grassley, 162. United States Representative District 3, Hasso, 50, Leffler, 50, Nunn, 97. Governor Reynolds, 213, write-ins, 4. Secretary of State, Pate, 208. Auditor of State, Halber, 87. Hanusa, 109, write-ins, 1. Treasurer of State, Smith, 197. Agriculture, Nag, 203. Attorney General, Byrd, 195. State Senator, District 9, Shipley, 203. State Representative, District 17, Dykstra, 103. Wood, 110. Supervisors, District 2, Armstrong, 25, Maher, 197. County Treasurer, Dow, 214, 1 write-in. Asiasis, 212, Recorder Brenda Asiasis, 212. County Attorney, Sonkson, 197, write-ins, 3. State Senator, Democratic side, Finknauer, 8, Franken, 7, Hurst, 1. Representative, District 3, Axney, 16. Governor, DeGier, 16. Secretary of State, Joel Miller, 14. Van Lanker, 2. Sand, Auditor of State, 15. Treasurer of State, Fitzgerald, 15. Secretary of Ag, Norwood, 15. Attorney General, Miller, 15. State Senator, District 9, 0. State Representative, District 17, 1 write-in. Board of Supervisors, District 2, 3 write-ins. County Treasurer, 0. Recorder, 0. Attorney, 0.
Okay, next up, Essex. Ready? Okay, Carlin, 45, Grassley, 142. Hasso, 61, Leffler, 36, Nunn, 67, 1 write-in. Reynolds, 185, 1 write-in. Pate, 168 with 1 write-in. Albert, 92. Marianne Hanusa, 73, 1 write-in. Robbie Smith, 165. Nag, 169 with 1 write-in. Brenna Byrd, 165 with 1 write-in. Shipley, 174. Tom Moore, 165 with 1 write-in. District 2, Armstrong, 40, Maher, 149. Angie Dow, 175 with 2 write-ins. Brenda Isias with 173 and 1 write-in. Carl Sonkson, 162 with 3 write-ins. On the Democratic side, Abby Finkenauer with 6, Michael Franken with 2, Cindy Axney with 8, DeGier with 8, Miller with 3, Van Lanker with 5, Sand with 8, Fitzgerald with 8, Norwood with 9, Miller with 8, 1 write-in for the District 9, 1 write-in for the District 18, 2 write-ins for the District 2 Supervisor, County Treasurer, 1 write-in, Recorder, 1 write-in, Attorney, 1 write-in.
Historical building. Shin 1. Historical building. Okay. Harlan 40, Grassley 81. State Representative, Hasso 32, Leffler 18, Nunn 59, 2 write-ins. Governor, Reynolds 109, 4 write-ins. Secretary of State, Tate 104, no write-ins. Auditor of State, Halper 33, Hanusa 72. Treasurer, Smith 104. Agriculture, Secretary of Agriculture, Neg 104. Attorney General, Byrd 104. District 9 State Senator, Shipley 106. Representative District 18, Moore 104. County Board of Supervisors, District 2, Armstrong 59, Maher 65. Treasurer, Dow 112. Recorder, Dias 107. Attorney 105. Attorney. Now we're switching to the Democrats. Fignauer 12, Franken 6, Hurst 3, no write-ins. District 3 Representative, Axney 22. Governor DeGier, Democrat side, DeGier 21, write-ins. Secretary of State, Miller 15, Van Lanker 6, no write-ins. Auditor of State, Sand 20, write-ins. Treasurer of State, Fitzgerald 21, write-ins. Secretary of Agriculture, Norwood 20, write-ins. Attorney General, Miller 21, 0 write-ins. State Senator, District 9, 1 write-in. State Representative, District 18, no vote. Board of Supervisors, District 2, 2 write-ins. County Treasurer, no vote. County Recorder, no vote. County Attorney, no vote.
Okay, this is Shenandoah Historical Building Number 2 District. State Senator, Harlan 56, Grassley 141. Representative District 3, Hasso 41, Leffler 33, Nunn 106, write-ins 1. Reynolds, Governor 182, write-ins 3. Secretary of State, Pate 175. Auditor of State, Halber 98, Hanusa 75. Treasurer of State, Smith 169. Agriculture, Neg 171. Attorney General Byrd 169. State Senator District 9, Shipley 174. State Representative District 18, Moore 172. Supervisors District 2, Armstrong 93, Todd Maher 105, write-ins 2. Treasurer Dow 188. Recorder Asias 184. Attorney Sonksen 176, 2 write-ins. State Senator Finknauer, 12. Franken, 11. Hurst, 2. State Representative District 3, Axney, 25. Governor Bezier, 22. Secretary of State Miller, 15. Van Lanker, 7. Auditor of State Sand, 23. Treasurer of State Fitzgerald, 23. Agriculture Norwood, 21. Attorney General Miller, 23. State Senator District 9, 3 write-ins. State Representative District 18, 3 write-ins. Supervisors District 2, 4 write-ins. County Treasurer, 3 write-ins. County Recorder, 3 write-ins. County Auditor, or I'm sorry, County Attorney, 3 write-ins. That's the scary one.
All right, Shenandoah, 3. Carlin, 62, Grassley, 156. Hasso, 37, Leffler, 51, Nunn, 111 with 1 write-in. Reynolds, 191, 3 write-ins. Paul Pate, 187 with 1 write-in. Halber with 80, Hanusa, 106. Smith, 178, 2 write-ins. Nag, 181 with 1 write-in. Bird, 179, 2 write-ins. Shipley, 183 with 2 write-ins. Tom Moore, 185 with 2 write-ins. Moving to the District 2, Armstrong with 112, Maher with 104. Dow, 200 with 2 write-ins. Isaias, 186 with 4 write-ins. Thompson, 185 with 4 write-ins. Let's see, lost my place. Okay, going to the Democrats, Finkenauer, 6, Franken, 17, and Hurst, 3. Axney with 24. DeGier with 25. Miller with 11. Van Lanker with 12. Sand with 23. Fitzgerald with 22. Norwood with 23. Miller with 23. No candidates in District 9. There were 2 write-ins. District 18, there were 2 write-ins. 3 write-ins on District 2 Board of Supervisors. No write-ins on the treasurer, no votes. Recorder, no write-ins, no votes. And the county attorney, no votes, no write-ins.
Shenandoah Fire Station. Okay. Senator Carlin, 78, Grassley, 167, 1 write-in. State Representative District 3, Hasso, 50, Leffler, 46, Nunn, 121, 1 write-in. Governor Reynolds, 228, 3 write-ins. Secretary of State Pate, 211, 3 write-ins. Auditor of State Halber, 114, Hanusa, 94, 1 write-in. Treasurer of State Smith, 201, 3 write-ins. Secretary of Agriculture Nag, 207, 2 write-ins. Attorney General Byrd, 201, 3 write-ins. State Senator District 9, Tom Shipley, 211, 1 write-in. State Representative District 18, Moore, 208, 3 write-ins. Board of Supervisors District 2, Armstrong, 87, Todd Maher, 169. County Treasurer Angie Dow, 235, 0 write-ins. County Recorder Brenda Zias, 232, 0 write-ins. County Attorney Thompson, 212, 1 write-in. Now the Democrats. United States Senator Fickner, 9, Franken, 3, Hurst, 2, no write-in. State Representative District 3, for United States Representative District 3, Axney, 15. Governor, Democrats, DeGier, 13, 0 write-ins. Secretary of State, Miller, 10, Van Lanker, 3, no write-ins. Auditor of State, Sand, 14. Treasurer of State, Fitzgerald, 15. Secretary of Agriculture, Norwood, 14. Attorney General, Miller, 14. State Senator, District 9, no votes. State Representative, District 18, no votes. Board of Supervisors, District 2, 4 write-ins. County Treasurer, no votes. County Recorder, no votes. County Attorney, no votes.
Okay, I have a ream of paper coming. What am I looking at here?
So this is the absentee results.
Okay,
So this sheet, it's gonna be a sheet of paper for
Each race,
and
okay.
then all the precincts.
oh,
So
okay.
you'll just read Clarinda 1, Jim Carlin 6, Grassley 12, Lyman 0, Clarinda 2.
We're going down the line.
Let's go and go for each of the races. Sorry, you left the room and you got that.
And Jacob and I voted for you.
Well, if you need to get a lunch, somebody, might be a good time for a scooter break. Okay, Jim this is the absentee United States Senator Carlin. Clarinda lead 1. Carlin with 6, Grassley with 12. Clarinda lead 2. Carlin with 17, Grassley with 39. Page County Courthouse 1, Carlin with 11, Grassley with 29. Courthouse 2, Carlin 17, Grassley 48. Essex City Hall, 19 for Grassley. Shenandoah 1, 5 Carlin, 6 Grassley. Shenandoah 2. It's 7 for Carlin, 18 for Grassley. Shenandoah 3, 13 for Carlin, 21 for Grassley. Shenandoah Fire Station, 22 for Carlin, 39 for Grassley. U.S. Representative District 3, Clarinda lead 1, Hasso with 3, Leffler with 2, Nunn with 13. Clarinda 2, 9 Hasso, 7 Leffler, 38 for Nunn. Courthouse 1, 3 for Hasso, 4 for Leffler, 29 for Nunn. Courthouse 2, 13 for Hasso, 13 for Leffler, 33 for Nunn with 1 write-in. Essex City Hall, 3 for Hasso, 1 for Leffler, 12 for Nunn. Shan 1 for Hasso, 2 for Leffler, 6 for Nunn. Shenandoah 2, 3 for Hasso, 4 for Leffler, 10 for Nunn. Shenandoah 3, 5 for Hasso, 4 for Leffler, 23 for Nunn. And the Shenandoah Fire Station, 12 for Hasso, 14 for Leffler, 29 for Nunn with 1 write-in. For Governor, Clarinda 1, 16 for Reynolds, 1 write-in. Clarinda 2, 48 for Reynolds. All of these votes are for Reynolds. Courthouse 1, 39. Courthouse 2, 57. Essex, 18. Shan 1, 9. Shenandoah 2, 19. Shenandoah 3, 31 with 1 write-in. And the Shenandoah Fire Station, 54 for Reynolds with 1 write-in. Secretary of State, Paul Pate is the only candidate. I'll reference his name here at the beginning. Pate, Clarinda 1, 18. Clarinda 2, 49. Page County Courthouse 1, 40. Courthouse 2, 56 with 1 write-in. City Hall in Essex, 17. Shan 1, 9. Shan 2, 14. Shenandoah 3, 28. Fire Station 53 with 1 write-in. Auditor Todd Halber. Well, there are 2 candidates here. So Shenandoah Library or Clarinda 1. Clarinda 1 has Halber with 7, Marianne Hanusa with 8. Clarinda 2, 17 Halber, 34 Hanusa. Courthouse 1, 21 Halber, 14 Hanusa. Courthouse 2, 23 for Halber, 33 for Hanusa. Essex, 6 for Halber, 8 Hanusa. Shan 1, 0 for Halber, 9 for Hanusa. Shan 2, 4 and 12. Shenandoah 3, 8 Halber, 21 Hanusa. Fire Station, on Shenandoah 3, there is also 1 write-in. Fire Station, 27 Halber, 27 Hanusa with 1 write-in. Secretary of State. Treasurer of State. Is it Roby or Robbie? Does anybody know? Robbie, thank you. Robbie Smith, 16 at Clarinda 1. Clarinda 2, 49. Courthouse 1, 37. Courthouse 2, 56 with 1 write-in. Essex, 15. Shan 1, 9. Shan 2, 16. Shan 3, 28. Fire Station in Shenandoah 50 with 1 write-in. Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Ney. Library 1 in Clarinda, 17. Clarinda 2, 51. Courthouse 1, 40. Courthouse 2, 59 with 1 write-in. Essex, 15. Shan 1, 10. Shenandoah 2, 15. Shenandoah 3, 28. Fire Station 53 with 1 write-in. Attorney General. Clarinda Library 1, Byrd 16. Number 2, 52. Courthouse 1, 35. Courthouse 2, 56 with 1 write-in. Essex 16. Shan 1, 9. Shenandoah 2, 15. Shenandoah 3, 28. And the Fire Station 50 with 1 write-in. State Senator District 9. Now, I want to correct something. The Attorney General, I listed as Brenna Byrd.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Sorry, I
okay.
didn't get the name changed.
So
on
State
that
Senator,
one.
okay, so who is a District 9?
Shipley.
Shipley is, okay. So I'm going to make a correction there. So Shipley, District 9 State Senator, Clarinda 1, 18. Clarinda 2, 54. Courthouse 1, 39. Courthouse 2, 56 with 1 write-in. Essex, 16. Shan 1, 9. Shenandoah 2, 17. Shenandoah 3, 30. And the Fire Station, 53 with 1 write-in. State Representative District 17. The only absentees we have are from Clarinda Library 1 and 2 and the Page County Courthouse 2. So lead Library 1, Dykstra with 12, Wood with 7. Library 2, 32 for Dykstra, 22 for Wood. Page Courthouse 2, 39 Dykstra, 29 Wood.
This is where the state representative district is split.
Split.
So
Gotcha.
only 3 precincts have that.
Thank you. Okay, District Representative 18. And again, we have 6 precincts reporting here. Thomas J. Moore, Page County Courthouse 1, 36. Essex, 15. Shan 1, 9. Shan 2, 15. Shenandoah 3, 30. And the Fire Station, 52 with 1 write-in. Board of Supervisors, District 2. Clarinda 1, Armstrong 11, Maher 9. Clarinda 2, Armstrong 18, Maher 39. Courthouse 1, 5 for Armstrong, 36 for Maher. Courthouse 2, 13 for Armstrong, 55 for Maher. Essex had 8 for Armstrong, 12 for Maher. Shan 1, 7 for Armstrong, 4 for Maher. Shenandoah 2, 16 for Armstrong, 8 for Maher. Shan 3, 19 for Armstrong, 17 for Maher. Fire Station, 28 for Armstrong, 37 for Maher with 1 write-in. County Treasurer, Angie Dow is the name on the ballot. Clarinda 1, 18. Clarinda 2, 53. Courthouse 1, 41. Courthouse 2, 63. Essex, 18. Shan 1 with 10. Shenandoah 2 with 18. Shenandoah 3 with 34. And the fire station 63 with 1 write-in. County Recorder, Brenda Esias. Clarinda 1, 16 with 1 write-in. Clarinda 2, 54. Page 1, 41. Page 2, 63 with 1 write-in. Essex, 18. Shenandoah 1, 10. Shenandoah 2, 18. Shenandoah 3, 34. Fire Station, 63 with 1 write-in. Carl Sonksen, County Attorney. Clarinda 1, 19. Clarinda 2, 49 with 1 write-in. Page 1, 35 with 2 write-ins. Page 2, 52 with 1 write-in. Essex, 15. Shenandoah 1, 9 with 1 write-in. Shenandoah 2, 16. Shenandoah 3, 33. Shenandoah's Fire Station, 56 with 3 write-ins. Okay, let's go to the Democratic ticket, U.S. Senator. Clarinda 1, Finkenauer 2, Franken 12, Hurst 1. I said that wrong, it was Clarinda 1. Clarinda 2 is 6 for Finkenauer, 3 for Franken, 2 for Hurst. Courthouse 1. Finkenauer 2, Franken 7, Hurst 1. Courthouse 2, 3 for Finkenauer, 3 for Franken. Essex City Hall, 1 for Franken. Shenandoah 1, 3 for Finkenauer. Shenandoah 2, 9 for Finkenauer, 4 for Franken. Shenandoah 3, 5 for Finkenauer, 4 for Franken. And the fire station, 3 for Finkenauer, 1 for Franken. U.S. Representative District 3, Cindy Axney. Library 1, 15. Library 2, 11. Courthouse 1, 9. Courthouse 2, 6. Essex 1. By the way, I want to go back, I'm sorry, to Courthouse 1. There was no, it's an undervote, not a write-in, excuse me. So Essex with 1. Shenandoah 1 has 3 for Axney. Shan 2, 13. Shenandoah 3, 9 votes. And the fire station, 4 votes. Governor DeGier, Library 1 had 15 votes. Library 2 had 11 votes. Courthouse 1 had 10 votes. Courthouse 2 had 6. Essex had 1 vote. Shenandoah 1 had 3 votes. Shenandoah 2 had 13 votes. Shenandoah 3 had 9 votes. Fire station with 4 votes. Secretary of State, Library 1 for Joel Miller, 9 votes. Van Lanker with 5. Library 2, 7 for Miller. Van Lanker with 3. Courthouse 1, 6 for Miller, 3 for Van Lanker. Courthouse 2, 3 and 3. Essex, 1 for Miller. Shenandoah 1, 3 votes for Miller. Shenandoah 2, 10 for Miller, 3 for Van Lanker. Shenandoah 3, 4 votes for Miller and 1 vote for Van Lank. And the fire station, 4 votes for Joel Miller. Auditor, Rob Sand, Library 1, 15 votes. Library 2, 11 votes. Courthouse 1, 8 votes. Courthouse 2, 6 votes. Essex City Hall with 1 vote. Shenandoah 1 with 3 votes. Shenandoah 2 with 10 votes. Shenandoah 3 with 8 votes, and the fire station with 4 votes. Treasurer, Michael Fitzgerald. Library Clarinda 1, 15 votes. Library 2, 11 votes. Courthouse 1, 10 votes. Courthouse 2, 6 votes. City Hall in Essex, 1 vote. Shenandoah 1, 3 votes. Shenandoah 2, 11 votes. Shenandoah 3, 9 votes. Fire station, 4 votes for Fitzgerald. Secretary of Ag, John Norwood. Library 1, 15. Library 2, 11. Courthouse 1, 9. Courthouse 2 with 6. Essex with 1. Shenandoah 1 with 3 tallies. Shenandoah 2 with 11. Shenandoah 3 with 9, and the fire station with 4. Tom Miller, Attorney General. Clarinda 1, 14. Clarinda 2, 11. Courthouse 1, 9. Courthouse 2, 6. Essex 1. Shenandoah 1, 3 votes. Shenandoah 2, 11 votes. Shenandoah 3, 9 votes, and the Essex, or the Shenandoah Fire Station with 4 votes. Okay, State Senator District 9, there were no candidates. Library 1, 5 write-ins, the only write-ins on any of the precincts reported. State Representative 17, no candidates. We had 4 write-in votes reported at Clarinda Lead Library 1. State Representative District 18, we have 6 reporting precincts, only 1 write-in candidate vote in the Page County Courthouse 1. Democratic District Supervisor 2, we had 3 write-ins from Clarinda Lead Library 1 and 1 write-in from Shenandoah 2. County Treasurer, Lead Library 1 had 1 write-in. County Recorder, Lead Library 1 had 1 write-in, and the Shenandoah 2 precinct had 1 write-in. Finally, County Attorney, we had Library 1 in Clarinda with 1 write-in vote, and Shenandoah 2 had 1 write-in vote. So, are you buggy-eyed yet? Okay, so what's next?
Next would be to approve this primary election canvas. So need a motion?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor signify by the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
So we have a bunch of signatures here. Is that what has to happen?
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, nobody told me I had to sign this.
So are we gonna sign them now?
So
or-
there's 2 abstracts that you have to sign. This is a signature for every single race. So make sure to sign every single.
Okay, so we need to probably do that right now before we go to the next.
So these have tabs.
That was for,
For your purpose. Okay, okay. I'm gonna put this back and give it to you.
And then the summary itself, it's just that's the first page.
Just the first page signature there.
So the abstract is every single page, the summary is this front page.
Okay,
And then there's this one. Candidates were nominated. It's in the back side.
we might stay close so you can keep us. in
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, we'll
Don't
make
let
sure
us
you
get
have
off
it.
task. This is where we should have bought those stamps. Watch that close, make sure that file doesn't get destroyed. Funny how the longer you write, the more your name goes to look legible.
No kidding.
Mother would not be very proud.
So there's just one.
Daisy Barr spinning in the grave. She's my cursive writing teacher. By the way, I want to thank the gentleman for allowing me to read more than I have since I left the radio.
That was
Good
really
Lord.
nice of you to be gone when the vote was taken to get those. Very proud of you. I would have shared.
That was quite a stack.
Huh?
That was quite a stack.
That was quite a stack, that's right. You waiting on me, Melissa?
You're good.
I hope we end up making that. Man.
How's your blue pen doing down there, Jacob?
Well,
You new one yet?
I just hunting. I've got one here. I think that's my only.
If you need one, I think I've got a spare up here.
I found this one. The others are all black. I've been signing in black.
So how important is it to sign in blue, Melissa?
That's just preference.
Huh?
Here's this.
Do
Do
you?
you want me to take something out?
Signed all these.
Those are all signed.
You want to hand those? to
Yes,
Chip?
there you go.
You can start signing those.
All right.
Just a top sheet. Is that it?
Then you'll get.
Okay. There's some more up here. Guys really did it. You too. Bill, like. Go a little faster, Jack.
It's a
I'm
race
trying.
between Jacob and Chuck to see who can get done first.
And I've got this.
You're gonna have that stack when Jacob
Yep.
gets.
I've got
through.
more letters than Jacob does,
Yeah,
I think.
Now he's trying to justify being
I
one
think
out.
mine's the longest.
I think you're right. Good.
Some of my letters just blend together, so.
Doing okay?
It's the closest we get to autographs there.
Angie, you ready for yours? It's getting close. For yours, you're getting close. I read through everything and it makes good sense, so. Who is Galaxy? Who was that? You have any idea? That's for you guys? I never heard of them either, so. No. Pardon? Is there any chance we have an armed guard with you to make sure those get to the right spot at the right time, so we don't have to do that again? I give you permission to sign my name.
You beat me? You did.
Good job, Jacob.
I wouldn't say all letters are clearly here.
Just the top page there.
Yep, just the top page. You need to say these. Go.
Go.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Yep, you're good.
what's this one? Oh,
I think I'm gonna leave one last page on science, if you notice it.
I'll find it. Good job.
So am I done?
You're done.
Good. I'm gonna get another cup of coffee.
Go to the bathroom for me.
Okay. There you go.
Am I correct on the, discussion? I'm part of it. Hey, Jeff Slater's gonna be at the office. He's probably. So if you would keep an eye on that. Anyway, just you guys on.
I'll say cursive is important still. I carried mail lots of years ago. I had a certified letter. I gave it to a kid that was in high school, and he did not know how to sign his name. At that school, they were not teaching cursive anymore. There is a reason they know how to sign your name.
Makes it go faster.
Yeah, goodness sake. Cursive is important. Huh? Okay.
Oh, just be quiet. Okay.
That's the most
Oh, that
typical-
in, this is your.
Those are the labor was done.
Is that everything you need?
Yep.
Okay, go down and start signing.
No, wait, I want the random back.
Oh, oh, yes.
Al's, that's.
Is that the one?
Sorry.
You need rec-
I think we'll see where we stop at next time, and then I'm gonna take one later on. Okay. This time, we're going to talk about discuss approve the rural transit system joint participation agreement. And the purpose of that, as many know, we have a agreement with SWIPCO to provide transit in our county. And one of the things that we do is we help fund that through the counties that are involved in this area. And they are asking for an increase up to $6,000 this year from the $5,000 in the past. I think for those that are involved in the county system, I think we see the positives of having SWIPCO on board with SWITA. So I would ask for any discussion, any questions.
So do we fund that out of local option?
We fund that out of local option sales tax, and we can, with the adjustments that we have made, we can easily probably amend that budget for this next year.
Are all their counties, are they asking all their counties?
All the same, all the same.
So,
Is that for fuel or what's that for?
Well, yes, costs of different costs such as that, insurance, as we all know, insurance has gone up pretty dramatically this new year. Costs of transit equipment, labor, anything that has to do with the operation of the business is, we're seeing is dramatically changing. So.
and their funding streams have not really gone up.
They are, in all fairness, they are able to receive some good funding for equipment, but they're not able to receive a lot of funding for the labor costs, the increased fuel costs, the increased repair costs, the increased insurance costs. So,
I didn't see Southwest die without a strong SWIPCO network. I would move that we approve the increase from $5,000 to $6,000 on that annual contribution.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll pass this down and let, oh wait, no, I guess you guys don't need to sign, it's just me. The sign, give this back to Christie, and then we'll move to the next item. I'll just leave this here. Okay. Next item is discuss approved policy development for the public use of metal detectors on county property.
Yeah, I'd asked to have that put on the
Yes.
agenda. I'd been approached by a citizen who is a metal detector fanatic, if you will, or he enjoys that as a hobby and wanted to know if he could come to the courthouse and search with his metal detector. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know if there's a policy. I did some research. I don't think we have a policy. We have a courthouse policy for other things. So I talked with Carl, and Carl said, so, well, what do you think? I mean, if you found something valuable, will that create a fight among the public? I mean, and so I don't know. I said, well, I'll put it on the agenda here.
The other thing I think of is there's a lot of digging involved.
Yeah.
You know, when you find something like a foot deep or something,
Do
digging.
we have anything at the parks?
People can use metal detectors, but it kind of goes off what Jacob said, if they start digging.
Tearing up
down,
things
then
and
it
you
becomes an
take it
issue.
away.
And just find, if they find anything, if it's anything like historical value, especially like Native American artifacts, they can't keep those, they have to turn those over to anything else.
So the courthouse grounds are public grounds. I don't know what the right thing is to do. If there should be if we should create a policy or prohibit it. I don't really have any, I don't think people are gonna knock down your door to metal detect on courthouse lawn. But, so I just need some feedback. I mean, we don't currently have a policy. So how would this board like to respond to that individual's request?
I guess my only thought would be, one would be the liability factor.
Okay.
If they get hurt or if we give access to them, do we need to have a policy that says you're not protected by any liability in the county? I do agree that if somebody found something that was county valuable, whose ownership is it? How do we determine that? How do we know? The people that I've seen out doing it at the parks in Shenandoah, they always do a very nice, neat job of putting the dirt back. So I think most people are pretty conscientious. They're respectful of that. By the same people that would throw garbage out the window would not, but that's, to isolate those cases.
Seems like if it's on the surface, there's not really anything, it's public ground. If you're looking around, it's like that big a deal.
Yeah.
Digging's where you're, I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks like a bunch of mold's been out there, they're bouncing over, that might,
No.
very
Yeah,
good. Anything on the surface, I don't think it really hurts anybody to do that, but the digging, let's see, I can worry about. But the stuff they want is probably not gonna be on the surface. It's
No,
gotta be
no.
old, their old quarter's not something they're too worried about, probably. So,
No,
a modern quarter. So I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't have a recommendation. I guess, we could do what government likely does many times, kick the thing down the
street,
road.
down the road for a while.
And maybe you could solve a
Yeah.
little bit with some other
I was gonna say,
counties.
I'll be SWIPCO board meeting next week. I'll try to remember to talk to those different supervisors that are that one, there's about 6 of us. Got anything coming up?
Tomorrow, I'll be
Yeah.
with several. in
Yeah.
Council Bluffs, like
Why
that
don't you
tomorrow.
ask and just say, hey, do you guys have anything at your courthouse policy that covers metal detectors? Or do you have anything for the county? Because I think if we were to write a policy, I think it should be for the whole county
Right.
properties. So,
And you do have a policy for conservation, can you send that?
yeah, once you send that to all 3 of us, and that'll keep us looking and gathering more information. Just maybe that's what we need to do is just incorporate his policy.
Yeah, that might be in it,
Yeah.
brought by Carl, but
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, I don't want to discourage people from finding artifacts, but yet I don't know how we can protect ourselves if it's something that happened to be from the old courthouse during the fire. How do we know? So,
okay,
okay. So we will table that for further discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, next item up, discuss approved fence replacement at 1704 209th Street, Page County Sheriff's Office, and I think we have somebody who gives a little history on this. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in this, so thank you very much for continuing.
Good morning, I'm Charles McCollum, the Chief Deputy here at the Sheriff's Office. And we've been having an ongoing problem at 1704 209th Street. That is right there at,
Thank you.
it's right there at Norwich. Since May 3rd of 2020 through January 25th of 2022, we have received 51 calls for service of animals being out at that piece of property. There's goats, there's pigs, there's hogs, there's donkeys, and all of them have always been out of their fenced in area or on the highways or the roadways. These animals have destroyed neighbors' crops. They've rooted up other farm ground and made other expenses for other people outside of the owners of these animals. We've actually had pigs been hit by cars right on Highway 2. And some of the neighbors have shot these animals due to other circumstances. So I did a little bit of research on it and I come up with an Iowa code. It's called habitual trespass and it's defined. And that is defined as livestock that strays from its fenced-in areas onto neighbors' land or roadways 3 or more times in one 12-month period. We're at 51. Just for that time frame, 51. So on December 1st, 2021, I made contact with the landowner. Guy's name is Nelson Murphy, lives over in Essex, and he was served a letter of the habitual trespass for his livestock. This letter included the number of calls for service, and we gave him the exact dates and times and everything. Once again, 51. Under Iowa Code 169C sub 6, Nelson was given 30 days to get his fences fixed or replaced to try and curb this problem. We actually gave Nelson 90 days to complete this, fixing his fence and the livestock so they would not be on the roadway. They have done some, but we are still receiving phone calls on a daily basis to this place. On March 21st, 2022, I assembled the Tarkio Township trustees. So when we assemble them, they are called fence viewers. The fence viewers were Curtis Meyer, Steve Burning, Todd Bashaw. We also invited other people to this fence viewing. Those people were Nelson Murphy himself, Tom Murphy, his son, Aaron Linky, who is the clerk township for Carpio, Carl Songson, our Page County attorney, and Ellen Armstrong was present with us too. The fence viewers looked at the fence, and kind of the neat part about it was, as we pulled up there, the goats were out. All of them. They proceeded to lick the salt off of one of the fence viewers' vehicle. He had picked up on the roadway. We were there for a good 15, 20 minutes, and they continued to lick the salt off of his vehicle.
He put the salt in him.
Yeah. The hogs were out that day too. So the fence viewers came up with their findings. Aaron Linky, the clerk, wrote the findings, and he delivered them to our office, and we served Mr. Nelson with those findings. The fences need to be fixed and or replaced to keep his animals off of the roadway. He was served a copy on this on March 22nd of 2022. And he was once again given 30 days to get his fence fixed. So now we're at 120 days plus the amount of time that we have. Since March 22nd of 2022 through May 9th of 2022, the Page County Sheriff's Office has received an additional 21 more phone calls of animals being out on the highway. So I'm here today to give you guys a brief update of what we got going on as far as this fence needs to be replaced. Under Iowa code, the County Board of Supervisors can replace that fence and assess that back on this person's taxes. So I'm here asking for, I have not received any, or went out and solicited any type of, someone to build a fence or anything like that. I wanted to give you guys an update before I did that. But obviously I'm bringing you guys up to date that, the county could need to spend some money here so we don't have a fatality accident.
The gentleman with us that day kind of gave us a rough idea that they allow of what they expected cost of fence would be. Did they give us anything, what they presume from their experience as farmers? You remember?
Go with my vehicle too. So as you know, the people in the township trustees there, they live in the township. Curtis Meyer, that's cattle and hogs. Steve Burke, he's had cattle in the past. Todd, I don't know if he's had any livestock in his farming tenure or not that I can remember, but there, when you start putting, and I'm assuming under a guesstimate between Curtis and I, that the sows that are there weigh about 500 pounds. And he had numerous pigs at that time, some of which have disappeared. We have no idea exactly where a couple of them went. We think one either got shot or hit by a car. The ones that did get shot were acting in an aggressive manner, and the residents around there had no choice but to defend. They came at it. Hogs do get that way after a while, if they're allowed to have no bounds. The fence, Curtis said, and Curtis would probably know just as much about anybody on hogs, is you're gonna have to put a pretty stout fence to keep them. I mean, you get a sow that wants to go under that, then you're gonna have to possibly add electricity. There, add some more. You could be looking, depending on how much they view, I mean, you're looking at that whole corner lot down there that goes from Ginkgo, pretty much Highway 2 and G Avenue. You could be in the $10,000 to $15,000 range.
I was thinking we're looking between 10 and 20, we estimated. So
how many lineal feet of fence are you looking at? I'm just kind of.
We haven't got the tape measure out yet, but you're looking at everything from where, if you're familiar with G Avenue and Highway 2, if you go north to Ginkgo, that's a pretty good stretch. It's a couple hundred yards. And then if you run, his property runs almost all the way back. I mean, 200, what is it?
it runs at that angle. Runs up at that house.
Well, it's got an angle in there. He owns quite a little bit in that
Yeah.
corner. It's kind of a swamp down in there in places. Our biggest fear is that there's an accident on the highway because Mr. Murphy has no insurance for his livestock.
No, zero.
Oh, boy.
Well, if it comes to this, can there be no livestock or fence, or we can't even?
Believe me, Jacob, we've looked into that. We would love to eliminate that problem, but unfortunately, the Iowa code does not allow us to
We
do
don't
that.
have any power.
That's the easiest thing. If people are gonna have livestock, and generally speaking, throughout the county,
Good.
if they have livestock, they're gonna take care of it. Unfortunately, on this one, the fencing is our problem. Does he have feed there? We see feed every time we go there, and water. We see food and water there. I'm not
Grass is
saying
just greener.
Has he made any?
there's grass.
Has he made any effort or any promise to do it over this entire stretch of time?
He has done a little bit. Charles, you want to expand on that?
He has done some as far as placing wood posts in and replacing panels. But,
With zip ties.
yeah, but it doesn't seem to work, Sherry.
And just to clarify, his defense is somebody's coming along and cutting the zip ties, cutting the wires, doing that. But it was from the 5 of us that were there with Charles and Lyle that day, it was obvious that it was not put together very well. So there was areas where the fence was bent up and they could slide out underneath pretty easy, especially with goats. They were not well contained at all. So as we all know, goats need fall.
If you have livestock, they will be out sometime.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
72 times in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
No.
And that's only the reported ones. That's not including when we drive by and see them. Out of the confinement or the fence, still on the property. That's a hourly occurrence.
Right.
The biggest factor is we can go ahead and build the fence, bill it to them, but then what happens if they don't pay their taxes? Then we look at, it could become ours. So possibly, correct?
Tax sale.
Yeah, tax sale. So, or somebody's. So it's a risk factor that we could invest dollars into it, but it's also a real liability if we don't do something with it. We need to take care of the problem. So.
My view, we don't have a choice. We have.
At that point, though, we have the power to do that.
Right.
That could we say, you know, the pig, if you don't want to be burdened with this humongous bill for your taxes, you have to have all animals gone in a day or two.
We can
suggest that. We can't make them and think that they might vamoose and we don't have to
Yeah.
do it then if they would actually do it. That's our last hope.
I don't think the law enforcement can go and do that. It'd have to
We
come
can't
from-
do that. That would have to come from you.
No.
If you want to
It's
try
just
to draft
suggestion.
ordinance
I don't-
Yeah.
Or something.
I think Taylor County tried to draft an ordinance about wandering animals years
Yes.
back, and I think it got shot down.
Yeah.
It's one of the things we usually don't say a lot, because
It happens.
we live in a rural community,
Yes.
let's all face it. You know, you're gonna, as Charles said, if you're gonna have animals, you're gonna have them out somewhere.
Yeah, it happens.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, fellas,
I think.
thanks for all your work on
Yeah.
this. I
Yes.
would like to make a motion that we get the fence put up in.
You want some costs first?
Uh,
You want some estimates?
I don't think it matters. I don't think we have a choice. Public safety is potentially at risk. And if it's gonna go back on his tax bill and he ends up not wanting to pay it, then I guess we'll go to a tax sale. But, you know, you work with, it sounds like you and the township trustees have bent over backwards to try to resolve this. And ultimately, and I know that's probably about where, when I used to ride in the morning to KMA on my scooter, I popped over a little hill and there was, right there, I about met my maker one morning at 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whatever, right there.
And there were several more big hogs, some of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, he's taking them somewhere, sold them away.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I do this? If you guys want to vote on it today, I'll get some costs, see if I can get maybe a couple different people to bid on it and stuff like that, and I'll bring it back to you guys so that there's
And-
nothing.
And maybe also just make sure you stay in touch with Carl and.
Yes.
And make sure there's nothing else that he sees that we need to do.
Okay.
So, okay, so,
And I'm sure he'll understand this happens. So if he wants to say all the animals are gone, he can.
Yeah, if
contact
he
us.
chooses to do that for the fence and build, I guess, we would
Yeah.
stop.
yeah, if all the animals were gone, everything was moved out.
There's
Yeah,
no
there'd be
no
no-
liability then, no
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion for that? I suppose we do.
Yes. Make a motion to approve the fence replacement at 1704 209th Street with the plans that The cost of the fence will be billed to the landowner due to the habitual trespass code 169C.6 for the Murphy Nelson one. Or Nelson Murphy, I'm sorry, Nelson Murphy.
I make that motion.
I'll
You
second
said it
that.
better.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Thanks for your work on it.
thanks.
Thank you.
Charles. Unfortunately, public comment, if you want to wait until after the meeting and share with us, or if you want to talk to the officers when they're done here, but during this time, no, we don't allow. Yep, unfortunately, it just, we could stretch our meeting even.
I'll get Charles.
Yes, you know, Charles, just drive out of town fast and maybe he'll catch up with you. He'll catch you. Okay, next item up is discuss approve appointing conservation board member. And as you all should have received in your emails, we have two board members that have, or two people that put in applications for the board. You want to continue talking? I'll let you go, John, if you want to talk, please.
Oh, I don't have much to say on this. Yeah, it's to replace Holly Martin. She resigned a little over a month ago. Overall, I mean, we've got pretty good representation on our board now. We've got 2 from the west side of the county, 2 from the east side of the county. We've got 2 males and 2 females, so this spot's pretty much wide open.
Can you remind the public who currently sits on your board, please?
We've got Kathy Jordan over in Shenandoah, Mark Marriott out of Essex, Whitney Beery from here in Clarinda, and then William Robertson from Clarinda also.
Looking at all that, we talked about this 2 times.
Right. Go ahead.
That Tim Bowers is twice been passed over, so I kind of just, on that alone, he's involved. I talked to him yesterday. I think
yeah, we have.
From that, I think that's a good thing too, but I think since he's been passed twice, I'd not make a motion, just have Tim Bowers go ahead.
We've got 2 applications, Tim Bowers and Randy McNutt. Julie McAndrews had applied before, but I talked to her last night and she said that at this time she had too many other activities going on. She did not feel comfortable in doing it, being on the conservation board. So yes, you're right. We have 2 applications. I know that Tim has applied before. I'm not sure about Mr. McNutt. I don't know if he'd ever applied before in the past or not.
I think this is his first time.
Yeah. He is a veteran from down in the College Springs area. Tim, of course, lives in the north of Shenandoah, up in the Essex area. So,
Well, I just hope that Randy will stay on. There'll probably be another opening in the future. Just, I think it's twice that he's gone over. So I'd like to make that motion, just to make a motion that Tim Bowers fill that position.
I'll second it, but I will vote for the other candidate. Here's why. In looking, on our applications really probably need some work. Our applications don't, in my view, help us discern what, if any, special agenda projects may exist. So I've gone out on social media and looked at the 2 candidates and their postings. And while I think that Mr. Bowers would make a good board member, I am a bit concerned that it appears that most of his interest is in horses, which is fine. But given the history of the Page County Conservation Board, I think we worked really hard to work through some of those longstanding issues of the gun range versus the horses. And I think all of our candidates, whoever serves on that board, truly needs to go in with the thought that our parks need to be all things to all people and not give any preference. I'm not saying Tim would, but looking at social media, deeply involved in the horses. And sometimes when that happens, it's hard to separate from those tough decisions when 2 committees are working together trying to find common solutions. So I seconded your motion, but
I think they both would be middle of the ground on that. I didn't see that. And
I also thought that maybe having somebody from that southern edge, south central edge might be a positive too, Jacob. And that's the only reason I found Randy's of interest. So.
I just thought they were both good and
Yeah,
one's been passed over
I'm not saying
twice.
that they're not both.
So,
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I think
both
they're
good. I don't have a problem with one of them.
both good, so.
And I don't have a problem. I just am concerned that our application process doesn't, we don't interview them. It doesn't probe very much. The answers on both could have been much more complete, so you go out on social media, or at least I did. That's where I'm
Yeah,
at.
Julie's application was very elaborate.
Yes.
I'm sorry that she couldn't.
Yeah, she had a lot more information.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you could read her application, get really a good feel for not only the passion, but the servant heart.
Okay, so motion and a second to appoint Tim Bowers onto the Conservation Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
You want to do a roll call? Okay, Jacob?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No. And for a different reason. I just thought having somebody from South Central might be a plus, connect to a different market of people.
I make a motion that we appoint Randy McNutt.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor of Mr. McNutt to be on the Conservation Board, do a roll call again.
Yes.
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 And
You
that
want to
term,
contact Mr. McNutt, or do you want me to, or?
that term goes through the end of 20.
I believe it's 2023. Either one of us, we'll probably try to reach out to him. We got a board meeting tonight and see
If you don't get a hold of him, let me know and I'll track it down.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
thanks. Okay, next item up is to discuss approved signing of the window project. And I believe is Ms. Vedder online?
I don't see her. You, let me message her in case there's a question. Let's see.
You have that project? I think I took it down last document too. I'm not sure. Anywhere around?
No, and I'm looking for her number.
She's great. I'll let you keep looking, see if you can find it before we go discuss and approve.
Okay. Hey, Kelsey, we're to the point on the agenda where we're going to consider the signatures here. Did you have time to jump on the webcast just in case any of us had a question? Okay, do you have that link? Okay. Just a second. I'll email it. Sorry, I thought that had been done. So hold on just a second.
While we're doing this, did we skip up another one or not?
Yeah, I've got her on the line. I'm gonna email her the link
Oh, yeah.
so that she can hop on. Let's see. Oh, did you? Okay, there should be the link there. Okay, great. We'll look for you on the video here in just a minute, okay? Okay, thank you, Kelsey. Bye. Because I know there was one thing that oh, here she comes. James Fine and the Pella people wanted to do a pre-construction meeting tomorrow. And okay, I'm not gonna be available.
I'm gonna be in Council Bluffs, what time?
I think it's 9. We'll ask Kelsey. Kelsey, you can go ahead and unmute, please.
Okay, I am here.
So the pre-construction meeting is 9 o'clock tomorrow?
At 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay. I wonder, so Jacob, you're out of pocket and you're out of pocket, huh?
It might be tight to find somebody to
Could we assign
want to be.
somebody from either Gene or from the auditor's office to see if they could? Because walk us through, if you would, the pre-construction meeting. What takes place at that, Kelsey?
In the pre-construction meeting, we'll talk about access to the building, hours of work, the overall schedule for the project. Methods for infilling any windows that we take out beforehand to see the construction of the building.
Okay,
So Gene and or the auditor's office would be, because Gene would have access knowledge, the hours of the days that we're not going to be open. The auditor's office will have all that list.
Could we maybe include, I mean, could we ask our other tenants in the courthouse if they would like to be present so that we don't set a construction schedule or have any surprises?
Yeah, the clerk report,
Like if Angie and Brenda could be there. I mean, it's not unusual to have multiple people there, is it, Kelsey?
No, I think having multiple people there is fine. I would say that it is typically best to have the kind of the lead owner's representative available, just because that gives the contractor a single point of contact for questions and just coordination down the road. Just opens up those lines of communication. And if we need to push back the pre-construction meeting, I think that's fine. We can just have that conversation with the contractor and try to find something before the 21st, if possible, because that's when they're going to have Pella stop over to take a look at the building with them.
So I know in the pre-bid meeting, some things of interest to our employees were discussed about, our requirement to give access 4 foot away from the windows to the construction crew. We also talked about having a staging area in our north parking lot. And then those were the 2 things that I could think of that might impact folks that I haven't totally thought through. But
So it needs to be before Sunday or before whenever the 21st is.
The 21st is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So if you just take another morning at 9 o'clock, that'd probably work, but
Is it too late to change that schedule for James?
As far as the Pella reps coming by or the pre-construction meeting?
Pre-construction meeting.
I think that I can give him a call right after this and set up another time. I don't see that being a big issue.
Okay, that might be best so that one of us could be there.
Yeah.
I think,
No.
that's probably prudent. Okay, well, tell James and his team, sorry, didn't realize,
Yeah, I didn't know.
I mean, I got this note, my week's been planned for 4 years, so I'm not.
Yep, that's understandable. It's a busy time of year every summer.
No kid. Well, thank you, Kelsey. So yeah, if you could communicate back to the whole board on whether or not that next Tuesday would work.
Okay.
Let us know, and then we'll get it confirmed as soon as we can.
Well, no, Jean's it before Tuesday, because Pella's going to be here on Tuesday.
Oh, Pella's gonna be
So it would have to be a different day than tomorrow. And
Yeah, no, Wednesday, so
I'm
Thursday,
out
Friday.
yeah, you're out completely. You're free Thursday and Friday.
It's in the
both.
first thing in the morning, I think.
Yeah, okay. So Kelsey, could you hear that? If it could be first thing in the morning on Thursday or Friday, Jacob should be in the area.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I will.
And then you can meet with all three of us.
Yeah, yep. I'll send out another email thread with all three of you copied so we can get that on the schedule.
Okay.
And then the only other thing that I would ask input from the department heads to send to the board. You know, since we're probably looking at a project next spring because of the long delay in getting windows built. If you have any preferences, you know, I know like March is really busy in your office. I don't know if there's any spring elections that would be happening next spring for the auditor, but maybe if you could send some ideas on where your real hot spots are, this whole construction pre-bid meeting would be aware of that so that can perhaps be avoided. Because once we get torn up, they're gonna work hard, but anytime you work around a mess, it's disruptive.
Okay, Kelsey, we do though need to approve signing the window project. That is what you sent by mail a week ago, I believe. It was in the whole project, this sketches and everything. That is what you need approval on signing today, correct?
I need the contract, the AIA G701, I think is the name of it. It is the
That would have
owner.
been, okay, that would have been in the packet that you sent to us in the tube, correct?
I believe that one was sent via email.
Oh, okay.
The packet you would have received with the drawings and specifications is for your record and reference. And if you need to,
I got it. Yeah.
okay.
Yep, I'm sorry, I didn't go back far enough.
That's okay.
Came on, Chuck, if you want to find it.
On the 7th?
Yeah, it came on June 1st. Came June 1st to all three of us.
Yeah, I'm seeing June 3rd there, okay.
Did you find it?
Yeah, but I'll look here.
Do you want me to forward it to you?
Yeah, forward it to me and I'll print it.
Okay.
I don't find it here.
I just sent it to you.
If you get something that didn't come over on the Mayflower.
I know, I have a Mayflower phone here.
I just sent it to you. No, Jacob.
All right, so I'll get this printed. I know I didn't print it, I looked at it when I got it.
Yeah.
9 pages. We got ink and printer, here we go.
Are all the numbers the same?
All the numbers are the same. This is just putting it all onto a form.
Yep, nothing changed.
Now, do all three of us need to sign, or is this the chairman only?
I would say just a single person from the Board of Supervisors would be fine.
Okay, so I'll just need a motion to approve the signing, and then I can sign it.
I'd make that motion. I think it's a win-win for Creighton County.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Now, Kelsey, what do we need to do with this as soon as I get it signed and dated here?
If you would scan it and send back to me and copy James on it, then we'll get his signature on there as well, and we'll be set.
I'll have the auditor's office do that.
Okay.
And I think you've got her email probably. Kelsey, better? Yep, okay. Okay, next item up on the agenda is discuss, approve assignment of county health tax sales certificates. Angie?
I was contacted by Bruce Huff, he's owner of Huff Trucking LLC.
Can you move the mic down, please? Thank
I'm so sure.
you. You
I am.
are vertically challenged.
Definitely. I was contacted by Bruce Huff. He's owner of Huff Trucking LLC. He is currently in the process of buying 304 East Thomas Avenue and reached out about county held tax sale certificate 2019-19001. I did bring a picture. The county held tax sale certificate is this little one here, and he's purchasing this one. So he would like to extend his copy. It is not, if you would look at Beacon right now, it is not in his name. He's in the process, so.
Okay. And that was, what was the address on that?
The address on the tax sale certificate,
Yes.
that, it doesn't have one. It's an empty lot.
Okay.
So he is buying, not on tax sale certificate, but he's purchasing 304 East Thomas Avenue. And this is off of East Grant on the back end of that.
He's connecting the two.
I'm sorry.
He's
Yes,
connecting.
correct.
Gotcha.
I mean, you can see. it.
Yep.
Yeah, of course, got that now.
It makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it's actually behind the other
Mhm.
parcel, but it still adjoins this.
Okay.
I'll move that we approve the assignment as recommended by our county treasurer.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Required signatures on that.
You want that back for your records?
Sure.
Am I purchaser? And next up, we have a recommendation for abatement of delinquent taxes on land leases that are no longer in existence. Do you want to?
Correct. These are just 5 parcels out of the 5. I think the one that had the most recent taxes was back in 06, 07. So they're non-existent, but they sit on our tax roll. So really just to clean up, it looks, when you look at our collectible, it looks like we have these taxes out there that we could collect and give to those areas, those tax entities, and they're not going to be collected. So just to clean up, to me,
Okay.
it's really just a cleanup of our system, that I can't abate taxes. It requires your authority.
Okay.
Several of them were from businesses no longer in the area, Galaxy Communications.
Crestland Co-op.
Yeah, Crestland Cooperative that moved their building,
In
or
Brookfield.
moved their location.
So what did Galaxy do?
But nobody remembers, and you've been here for, yeah, so it's previous to 20 years, so I don't know.
Yeah, when I reach out to the assessor's office, they've been out of their program for so long, they don't even populate anymore. So,
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I guess I'll make the motion to
Yeah, I'll second that.
abate those taxes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye,
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Did you sign that?
thanks, Angie. Next item up is discuss approve hiring of Samuel's Group for phase 2 of the jail project.
I thought we already talked about this a couple weeks ago.
We talked about, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about hiring them for figuring out for $5,000 what it would cost if the jail were closed for the state.
Maybe a couple weeks before that, I don't remember the time. We talked about the whole thing. We had the whole thing in front of us maybe a month ago. I don't know how long ago it's been. I mean, my feelings haven't changed much. The fuel's even higher now than it was a month ago, jumped $1 or 50, 70 cents. I just hate to get that expensive of a plan done by them that might be slightly expired by the time I'm not against doing it. It's just, I feel it's kind of jumping the gun here. The same as I did a month ago. I don't think it's the right time to spend that money.
Well, I just put it on the agenda because I think we need to keep moving forward on it. And I think you can argue until you're blue in the face and nobody has a crystal ball. But I think you can predict with a great amount of certainty that nothing's getting cheaper. And cost of money is likely going to go up and stay up for a while. So, and furthermore, since our discussion a month ago, whenever it happened, I've had a lot of contact. People in the county have said, we've got to keep moving on this. We need a jail. Keep it moving. So I put it on the agenda. We got, I think Greg Wild is here. What I'd like to have you briefly, if you wouldn't mind, review to our audience what the $25,000 phase study actually buys Page County and what type of planning goes into that process. Greg, are you unmuted and still with us? He might have gone to sleep.
Yep.
Here we go. I did not go to sleep, technically challenged.
Yeah, I understand.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to highlight, we proposed back last year, phase 2 would include architectural program planning, schematic design. In effect, what this does is it helps clearly define the nature of and scope of this proposed project and gets to a schematic design phase where you're actually putting programming spaces, defining those spaces, and clearly defining the estimated cost for those spaces as well. We also look at options, cost-saving options, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, to see what the most cost-effective methods to not only design but build and construct a proposed facility would look like. We will also take a very close look at a proposed facility in terms of staffing and the impacts of staffing. Would it increase staffing or decrease staffing needs? And then we will also, as part of that, look at a bond strategy development of current and estimated bond costs and such, if the board would choose to move forward with this project.
Something that comes to my mind is, as you talk about keeping it moving, which I know we got to keep things moving, I understand that. I remember back with the windows, because we had to get something done, we almost did one room of the courthouse, we almost did one.
Yep, you gathered up a lot of information.
And we
lucky
kind of
for
paused
us.
it, and it all kind of worked out.
Yeah. lucky for
Sometimes
us.
it's like just some pausing and thinking, not never, it's just, and there's been a lot of plans drawn in Page County that are never going to be used. And so I know this one probably maybe will, as long as they're drawing the right ones. Simply tell
So how
them.
many plans in Page County have been drawn that haven't been used besides the one plan? Tell me others.
Well, in the Methodist building, they drew, when they're about 25,000 spent on remodeling, like a
And that'll eventually get used.
Eventually, maybe. I don't think so. But, so there's a couple, I guess, in my short couple years of watching. I'm just trying to be cautious here. I'm not against doing it at all.
I respect that, Jacob.
There's a lot of money.
I just feel strongly that if we don't keep pushing forward, we're never going to be ready to go.
I understand we got to keep moving forward. There's there's a lot of questions that aren't really answered, they're gonna draw a schematic to tell us what it costs, or we're gonna draw, Greg, you're gonna draw the whole thing, and then we cut off what we want, because we don't exactly know what all we want to put in it, or have drawn.
Well, as part of our discussion would progress, it would answer some of those, ask and answer some of those questions. For instance, one of the things that had been mentioned in the study was, do you want to combine a law enforcement center with the police department of Clarendon? That's a question that the board needs to kind of answer and look at from multiple perspectives. And that's part of what we would do in that. Where would funding come from that? How would you structure the nature of that? But I will tell you that other rural counties are looking at combined facilities to maximize both the value to the taxpayer as well as to improve law enforcement facilities in their areas. So
I guess that's where I feel like the cart's getting ahead of the horse. We've got to really have, before we even start this thing, we give them this money. We really say, okay, we've hammered this out and decided this is what we want drawn. I don't know if we get in the middle of this and it's conflicting, and then things change, next year things change, and we've drawn something and we have to redraw it. That's where my fear is. We're gonna draw this twice. I want to draw once and pay the money once. That's what I would do if it's my business. That's what I would do. So I'm not trying to not do anything. It's just got to be a consensus. So I don't know if we've completely got that yet. I don't really know. Do we know yet what
would your next step be to discover?
I guess we need to discover.
There are a lot of unknowns. So what's your next?
I would say of all those options we had laid out, there's got to be some kind of a consensus of which one should be drawn. And then we also have to factor this is all not even going to begin to hardly do anything until next year. And the board's going to change next year. So that's also kind of get the cart ahead of the horse too, in that way. I don't know. It's just, I just don't want to do this.
Go home now until the first of the year. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I'm saying we better not have plans drawn that may not be used. They're most likely will be used, at least most likely. That I don't, there's a lot of different choices that they gave us in the first step. They gave us a lot of choices of cutting off this, that, adding this, moving people. There's a lot of variables here, and we've got to kind of have okay, we're all good with this, pretty much good with this plan, go forward and draw, spend the money, and hopefully we use it. I'm just afraid we're just a little ways, we're not quite there yet. I know you can't have a perfect plan. I understand there's a lot of moving pieces, and I don't want to not do anything and 5 more years goes by. I get that. There's a lot of moving pieces here. I'm afraid this is pretty expensive. It isn't $2,500 for those, $25,000. If it was mine, I would in my own business, I would be concerned I didn't have enough decided to go forward. That's right. That's just what I feel.
Well, if you can show me a path forward on how you get those questions answered without engaging professional services, I'm all ears.
Well, I mean, if the board of supervisors has to decide which plan we kind of go forward with, so we got to hammer something out, I guess. So I think we can do that somewhat before. We were going to do a study, a little in-house estimate of what it costs to haul, just for our own information, wouldn't cost anything. I'm getting ready to start working on that. I don't know. If it was my money, which it is, a little piece of it is, I would have a little more caution before getting into this. Not to say never, but just have some more caution.
Well, $25,000 for a professional service is kind of the world we live in. Ultimately, the taxpayers would decide whether or not we move forward with whatever plan is presented. Ultimately, the taxpayers would by referendum say whether they support it or they don't support it.
But if we put a plan forward that does not have real good consensus and they vote against it, by all rights, that's fine, then we've spent all this money. It's like, we want to make sure we've got a plan that is going to be the most accepted, to be the most practical way to solve this problem.
Well, Greg, as I understand it, part of this process does deal with finding consensus so that you identify what the community, I mean, through this process, there are features that help you identify community expectations, community champions, conduct town hall meetings. I look at the Fremont County experience with how that was run. There are a number of public meetings to capture input that ultimately influences what that plan looks like. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And before we get to that stage, obviously the supervisors would need to decide the grand scale of this project. As I mentioned, do we include a police department or do we not? And where are sites most viable for this? And confirm, that discussion. But also once some of these bigger decisions are made and we have what I'd call a napkin design idea concept, and then we begin to get some feedback from community members and a steering committee that will help in terms of guiding this process, not just for the board, but to represent the community as well.
We need to have a site or two sites kind of found before this would be that beneficial, just even declare a site, we might do this.
Not necessarily. I mean, part of our schematic design process is to help you identify site options, pros and cons, and to consider and weigh the options of what makes the most sense.
I built a shed last year. Before I built the shed, I made the site. I had a site picked out and I made sure it worked before I ever built the shed.
Well, absolutely. And right now we don't have a site in mind. I mean, there are some options that have been kicked around, but we haven't really done any due diligence on any substantial sites just yet. So without a doubt, that will be part of that schematic design effort to get a project beyond an idea to an actual plan that people can see, sense, touch, feel, and put hard number estimates toward.
What you mentioned, and I'm not sure I remember, if we engage in this next step, 4-6 month process, kind of remind me of that.
Yes, we anticipate typically a 4 to 6 month process. Part of it depends on how quickly things can get decided early in the process to limit the scope or expand the scope. And we will respond as quickly as possible and try to help the board make decisions as promptly as possible. There are two primary dates that pretty much drive decision-making for capital improvement projects for counties in the state. One is a vote date in March and the other is a vote date in September. There is literally no way to help you be prepared for a vote in September of this year. So what we'd look ahead is the earliest opportunity that we would foresee for Page County would be perhaps March of next year.
Well, thanks, Greg. I'll make a motion that we engage in phase 2 at a cost of $25,000 to keep the project moving forward.
I'll second that.
Okay.
As far as, I'll restate my discussion, I think it's not the time. I think there should be some things figured out first.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve hiring Samuels Group for phase 2 of the jail project. And thank you, Mr. Morris, for bringing this up to the board again for discussion. Let's do a roll call.
No.
Morris.
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes. Okay. Next item up is discuss approved ARPA funds to purchase a Motorola console for PageCom. And Jacob, I don't know, Chuck, you sent us some information on PageCom,
Yeah.
what they needed. I don't know if I've got, yeah, I've got that here.
Do you? I'm gonna print that cost again. Let's see, and I think.
I'll pass over to you to, that's the sheet, the spreadsheet of what we've talked about for the ARPA funds. And I can kind of go into some discussion on that as far as the console is $451,589. And I'm not sure the second page.
What was it, 451, what was it?
Yeah, 451,589. That was for 3 consoles. Each console is 189,255, correct? Yeah. So if you want to look at, this is what we got the email here a few days ago.
Where will 3 go? They all go in the same place?
Yeah.
Right now in our dispatch, we have 3 consoles,
Yeah.
and they're utilizing Avtech, the console that was bought, I think, 11 years ago, when Montgomery County, Fremont County, Taylor County had these Avtech consoles. That was before the formation of Essex. Essex was talked about, but had not become a reality. There was some talk between the counties to be able to use this Aptech technology to tie those counties together for better and more streamlined communication. After we purchased ours, these other counties bought theirs, and Essex finally became a reality and became the digital footprint for emergency communications, which we assigned 4 years ago when we signed up with Essex. The console, like I say, is end of life. Certainly if and when a jail is built, you would, if you can make it that long with the console, you're gonna have this investment. The Motorola 7500 is what is being proposed. It does give, and I think if Lyle wishes to talk, he was at the meeting that I had with Bob Stephanie of Motorola, Brian Hammond, our interim emergency management director, and I spoke about this yesterday. I don't know if Brian's on the line or not, but world-class communications, what we're trying to provide, and the Essex or the Avtex, again, nearing the end of life. There was a proposal made to Chris Grieber back in August for this, and it never officially came to the board. ARPA funds are eligible, or this expenditure is eligible in the ARPA funds. And again, at some point, that console will not work. I mean, I don't know if that's tomorrow, 2 years from now. So that's why it's being brought up today, to see if it fits in the ARPA.
How long, when does the ARPA money have to be spent by?
2026. Yeah, first round by 24, second round by 26.
Quite a while.
So out of the budgeted amounts that we kind of talked about, that we went through back when we had to finalize that report, we still have, in the annex upgrade, we still have a couple $100,000 for the roof, elevator improvements, that nothing is being done at this time. Records digitalization with the due diligence of our recorder, that is going to come in less than what we had budgeted for that project. About $75,000 to $100,000, I think, is what it's going to end up costing us. The courthouse windows, that was almost identical to what we had budgeted. The courthouse HVAC, roof, tuck pointing, internet. We don't have any definite figures yet. We're gaining on the internet information. Tuck pump pointing we do have, but we don't have the HVAC, any definites yet on that. So we know that we've got some dollars there that may not get spent. Page County West, the roof and interior is going to be pretty much that 50,000. Election equipment, we know that new equipment is going to be that 56,000. And the county park improvements, we budgeted 40-some thousand for the original Pioneer Park, and we planned on spending in between 40 plus for that improvement is what they anticipated. And then we just went ahead and put the extra that we had still in that 2.9 million into that, just in case we had some other functions that we could do. So we have that 451, 457, whatever it is there. You've got the.
Yeah, 451.
Yeah, 451 setting without being promised for anything other than possibilities. Because we don't have any idea what the HVAC system and true cost will be. And if that would even come close. So I'm assuming it will, but
If we have the 26 to spend the money, and it hasn't failed yet.
Yes.
It probably will.
Yes.
Maybe there isn't, and with the jail all up in the air, I don't know that it makes sense to.
Well,
Do it
Sherry,
right this minute.
okay, I'm sorry. I was gonna ask Sherry, because I wanted, on that point, in August, when Chris Grieber had this quote,
It was a lot less.
yeah, it was quite a bit less.
Yeah.
So that's what, Sherry, can you jump in and compare this 451,000 number to what was presented to us back in August?
I do not have the August proposal. Morning, gentlemen. Thanks for the opportunity to address your question. I don't have the price in front of me, but I would say it's roughly 20% higher than it was last August. And one of the other things to point out is, you have several of your neighbors that had these AvTech councils, and they have all moved to the 7,500 councils integrated into Essex. A couple of key points that this new council will provide your first responders is the ability to back each other up. What that really means is that you can load your profile for your consoles in, say, Montgomery County's consoles, and if you ever had to vacate for any reason or anything goes on, you're able to, get your dispatcher to Montgomery County, sit at a position there and log in and function like you're sitting at your location now. The other thing that's a key point is there is a very much enhanced ability to patch talk groups with an integrated console. And those are the reasons that, there's many more, but those are the key reasons why your neighbors did make this move to upgrade their consoles to an integrated Essex console.
And if we were to make a purchase of this, because of production schedules, we're looking at Q1 of 23 for delivery and installation.
Correct. It's right now we are able to predict that it would be 5 to 7 months to be able to, from the time you sign a contract to get something operational. That's a best estimate that we can provide.
You guys have any other questions? I apologize.
How much goes into setting one of these up, the screens and everything all set and hooked up? Is that a big deal or?
Sherry, did you hear Jacob?
She knows, I guess.
So.
Go ahead.
What does it take to set one of these up? Is that what I was asked?
I'm thinking, I remember whenever there were some figures to move dispatch to the annex building, to move everything, it was very expensive. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I think it was 6 figures to move them, I think.
Yeah, it's probably over 100,000 then.
That's what I thought. And so I have fear also of, I'm not against where it is, I don't think. I'm just saying, it's 150 to 180,000 to move the stuff.
If we would have
Want to move over to that building.
to there. Like she said, this system, these 3 consoles have gone up 20% since August. They're not going back down. Electronics don't go back.
But it wasn't the cost of physically moving, it was the cost of if I'm not mistaken, the cost of the wiring, the the setup
To make it work.
to make it work in the new building. That was where the cost was. Wasn't physically moving it, correct, Lyle?
Moving and setting up.
Setting up,
Taking
yes.
it down from there,
Right. So,
moving everything, and that wasn't.
yeah.
Any new installation, that was just what we had installed.
If we don't build a new jail for 10 years and we buy new equipment in 5 years, it's still going to happen. Doesn't, the only way it would be perfect is if we would build a new jail and did all the stuff at the same time.
And at some point forward, the city of Clarinda has expressed that they are very interested in not long-term, not holding the building where dispatch is currently at. So at some point, whether it goes to a new jail or a different location, you're going to have a moving expense, whether it's Avtech equipment or Motorola equipment. But the quote that you have here, maybe part of your question is what additional costs are there for the extensive installation? Is that part?
Well, I'm trying to just, if the city of Clarendon doesn't let us operate in that building anymore, and we've just installed this, that would be a pretty lousy thing to hit us right at once, versus buy it and install it right where we want it to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's whatever equipment you use as your operating system, wherever it needs to go, it's going to cost the same
Well, but
amount of money.
I don't think they're gonna be that mean to
No,
us.
they're not.
If we bought we have another plan and it's come set up the new stuff and we use that until the new stuff is working, then I think it's just, I don't think we're gonna spend a lot of money moving that then. I mean, it's.
No matter what we move, you're gonna spend a lot of money.
Well, I'm saying if we just keep using what we got, then it's not saying they can move that. It's there, right?
Don't do this.
I'm saying if we do buy this, whenever we get a place we know where it's gonna go, if they're gonna kick us out, we just buy it, install it right where it goes. It's not gonna get moved. It's gonna go where it's gonna be.
You don't have any chance of moving.
You don't have to move anything. The old stuff will just expire there and then do whatever with it.
So
So,
not, if you bought this now, not put it in.
no, I would not buy it now.
So you're waiting to see if it goes up more.
If, the thing is, I know right now, I've done a lot of buying and selling in my little world for the last 20 years I've been in business. And yet, right now, no salesman will give 1 inch on price. I like to haggle. There is no haggling right now. Now, I think that will come back soon. The thought that there will never be haggling or lower prices, I do not buy that at all. Now, I get everything slowly going up, and we've had a big peak here, but it's gonna go like this. I mean, that's history. There's no way, there's no reverse. Now, if we need it, and we gotta have it, because that one broke, it's not working well, we got no choice. But we have 3 more years to spend the money. I just don't want to, again, spend the money, set it up, then they say we can't use the building, then move it over to our jail or whatever other building is. I don't know, I understand the rising cost, but.
I want to clarify one thing. City of Clarendon has not said they're moving. They've just expressed, I mean, they're not saying you're kicked out. I want to make it very, very clear. They've just said that the building has reached its end of life. They have some structural issues they're concerned about. And at some point, they would like to be done with that building, but some point was not defined.
Right.
Okay. But I just, I think that if you could coordinate and you could coordinate that when the new jail gets built, that you buy this new, and if you could predict that the equipment that's sitting there isn't going to break, or that because of its limitations, it's not going to create a hardship for a first responder or a deputy, then I'd say, yeah, it's a great plan. But those other variables are, I think, important considerations in this discussion.
Lyle, anything else you'd like to add? From what you know of the equipment, the other counties?
So in other words, basically, if this equipment went up 20%, that's someone would put $90,000. Right?
Have you ever seen a bubble?
Yeah.
You've seen it. This is the wildest bubble I've ever seen.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, this is not
I don't see a lot of things going down. Sooner or later, some of them are
Yeah.
utilities we use are gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
So electronics, they just
depressions and recessions.
and the AdTech system, when we bought it, it was still analog and it would do digital. what nobody got told was when you do digital on this new system, you have to buy a separate radio to have each channel. And that's the problem we're running into. We can only monitor so many channels, so if you've got different things going on, you can't bring them all up on the screen and monitor. Well, somebody is just out there on their own.
Will this, do you have any confidence that the new system will help in the issues that we're having in Shenandoah?
No, I've got, Sherry, you still on the phone?
Get back up, she's there. She was.
Yeah, she's.
Sorry, you'll have to repeat the question. I didn't hear the question.
Get Lyle.
Sherry, can you hear me?
I can.
Sherry, when we're done, I'd like to talk to you about why we're having issues over on the west side. I've sent some emails to one of the persons there and have not got a response. Neither has the chief over there that's supposedly handling this. So no, Alan, at this point,
Okay.
This is not part of that from what we're told.
Thanks, sir.
Well,
if Sherry would take the August price, I might go for it. You'll do that, Sherry? I'll sell it to us the August price? Or split the
Pardon me,
difference?
I couldn't hear it, but
If you want to rewind to August, I might go along with that. Want to do that?
I wish I could. I wish I could. I'd love to rewind the last 6 months, if not longer.
Well, still a lot of money. Okay, I'll check.
well, the other thing is, yes, it's a lot of money. There's no question it's a lot of money. If you dedicate the ARPA funds to it, something else potentially could lose out. I agree. But I think that we can with certainty predict that the AvTech console will not meet our needs in the next dozen years. And so we're going to be buying a console at some point forward. I would prefer to buy it with ARPA funds, and I would make that motion.
I'll second that, and I don't have any problem buying the ARPA funds. I think that's handy, I like the windows. But again, with all the things we're deciding right now on jail stuff and moving, and you think it might last 12 years, I mean, I just think it might be getting just a little bit. We have 3 years to spend the money. That's why I'm not against it. I'm not against this machine. But I think I'd like to see another few months here play out here. That's where I'm at.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve ARPA funds to purchase three Motorola consoles for PageCom. And Jacob, can I have that sheet?
Yes.
Have that information sheet that I got with my file of a total of $451,589. A motion and second. All those, you want to do a roll call? Roll call.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Anybody need to take a break?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
5-minute recess.
Might be our longest meeting of the year.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Okay, Jacob. Corey back.
Yes. Yes, 1, 2.
You didn't do anything, Corey? Okay, at this time, I'm going to call the meeting out of recess. Next item up on the agenda is to discuss, approve, extending Mark Schaefer safety contract through the end of 2022. And I believe that was brought up. Chuck, you brought that up. What
Yeah.
kind of costs are we looking at between now and December?
You're looking at top cost of $6,000, 8 times 6, $4,800 to $6,000. Reason why I put it on there is we had a group meeting with all of our department heads, and they graciously said that they would, help us manage our system. I went and did a report yesterday, and we have pockets where people have really stepped up and have done some great things, and we have some holes where people haven't. I would, Jacob, you've not done a single one in 2 years of any of the safety training that's been assigned, sexual harassment, workplace, and so I guess my question is, if this board isn't going to be solid on, if we're not going to be solid on setting a model of studying safety, then this is probably a waste of money.
What's a waste?
If we aren't at the top of our organization going to subscribe to safety
Sexual
training.
harassment training. When whenever Tom talked about it, he said basically everybody flunked sexual harassment training when they took it. That's what I heard from him.
I did.
Anyway, you didn't? Oh,
No,
Anyway, well,
And again, that's a choice you can make, but if the organization is not going to do this, we can't expect our employees to do this. And
to do what?
to do safety training, to help educate our employees on how to work safely, how to keep our work comp mod down, Last year, we saved $67,000 because of the efforts of our employees and the attention to safety. And I think you've seen the 20-year chart. We've been there before, and then we have spiked. And that's what started the whole safety discussion 3 years ago when Ed Morrison of IMWCA said, you guys do something or we're dropping you from the pool. And we've had great success. We're kind of the poster children for IMWCA based on our experience the last few years. And again, I look at that software and we have some pockets, we have some of our departments that are doing a tremendous job of incorporating that into their training. We have some that aren't. And so how do we monitor that? Because it doesn't, if we have holes in our training, that's a liability issue for the county and for taxpayers if we have an accident happen or we get on the wrong side of OSHA.
So Mark Schaefer, what we're talking about here, we went all around the world to get Mark Schaefer $6,000. I sat over here, didn't really know what he did, so I sat here when he was here with department heads, and several of them were in here. And by the time I got to the end of it, nobody could figure out what he really did. I mean, there was never really, and then I asked him point blank myself, this is hearsay, so what are you gonna do? And he really didn't say much of anything. And I'm not trying to remember that wrong or be rude. It was basically nothing. And we talked about this a month ago and everybody kind of came to the conclusion, I want to turn it off then. I'm not against spending money to, whether it be in some kind of incentivizing employees if we have no accidents. Maybe we can do something kind of like you do with the wellness. There's kind of incentives there. I'm not against that. I'm not against spending money to make sure we don't get our insurance premiums to go up. But what's on the agenda here is Mark Schaefer safety contract. And I think it was an okay idea to try, but I think in seeing what he specifically is providing to us, I'm not saying there's no knowledge. I'm not saying as an as needed basis, maybe by the hour, maybe fine. He has some expertise we can't find somewhere else. But what we talked about a month ago or more was this is not maybe needed a month, give him just a check every month. I do not see the need for that. I reached out to a few department heads yesterday, and I did this back whenever the last discussion was, and I did not have any department heads say they felt that we should go forward with this so far. I'm not talking to every single one though, but as the ones I talked to, I've not had anyone say they think this is maybe the best thing to do. Maybe as needed, but not to just writing a check every month for $1,000. Sure.
Like running the report, but we don't have to do activities on that because I've done back safety with my office and it was a PowerPoint that he gave us. It's not on.
There's no report.
WCA, and I also have done privacy through the DOT, and again, that's not on there. So we have 3 different months and only one of mine can be on.
Okay, and actually your office, I thought was one that was stepping up, but you do need, as we were taught in our seminar, to review on your specialized training, how to get that into the repository of documentation through NextGov.
I thought that's only if we wanted to, if we had on the record keeping, because like mine's on DOT.
It's highly recommended because of having it in one place and not taking any chance. Yeah, it's on DOT, but it's highly recommended that it goes there so that when OSHA comes and asks for your log of training, you can go to one source and just to simplify it. You're right, you don't have to, it's just a recommendation.
I have a folder, and I have 3 of my sign and shoot out.
So that's certainly your call. It's just a recommendation if you have it on there. And, from a bird's eye overview, if, it's hard to manage from an organizational standpoint to know where you're at if you don't know those things. So that if you do run a report, it makes it harder to say, well, what are you doing additionally? Are we covered? But it's your choice, clearly.
Well, I think it'd be good information because I didn't do a complete survey. It's the department heads and elected officials, whoever. What do they think of this? I tried to do a survey. It wasn't totally complete. As it was a month ago, I don't think that was the case. I do not think this is a wise expense, $1,000 a month or $800. I think there's other ways that money could be spent to even improve, to even maybe encourage safety. That would be better spent than that. Do not mind if he has some expertise he can't get somewhere else and wants to look at an hourly rate and we happen to need his help, we can call him, we can charge us. If we agree to the price, that's fine, but I do not think, as I didn't think then, and now that we've discovered it, I don't think it's bad intention to try it, but I do not think it's needed.
Okay.
Now, on the other hand, I feel strongly that we need somebody on the outside making sure we get the OSHA reports in, do all the paperwork, all of those things are done properly. I think that it's a real plus. It'd be a very good idea to have it through the end of the year at least.
And if you don't want to do it, I respect that, but tell me the path forward on how we ensure that the rubber is meeting the road and that we are covered, that our liability in terms of training is covered.
We had a list of training, didn't we, that we went through, and then I asked, are you gonna help them by making sure they get it done? And he said, no. So all this reasoning doesn't really make any sense to me at all. I sat through this thing. He's not doing it, they're doing it, and then he's not even checking it. So I don't know how many pages of OSHA paperwork is he turning in? Because for $6,000, is $1,000 a page? I mean, what is it? This doesn't make sense. I'm not saying he doesn't have some knowledge. I'm not saying it couldn't be useful, but this is not, if he was going to be checking them and keeping everybody in line and making it easy for all the department heads and keeping everything organized and sending, that's not what he's doing.
No, not now, but I
And
think
it
that's the
wasn't,
direction.
but not for this money. If he did that, I don't know what it cost for doing what I would say is extremely little. He's charging what I would say a lot. So if he was doing those things, I could have swallowed some of this. He's not. I asked clearly, he's not. They're doing all the work, all of it, and he's not even checking.
The ones that are doing it are doing all the work.
But he's not even checking them. So you're wanting this checking feature, and he's not even doing that for $6,000.
I believe he is, Jacob.
Okay, we sat through the meeting. I was in a meeting.
He may not be visibly telling you every time he looks, but I'm going to guess, since he sends out emails to me anyway, and is sending it to other people and asking, did this get done, whatever, so apparently he must be checking on it.
I sat here, I wasn't in Chuck's meeting with, I think, Lyle and Brenda and Angie. I don't remember who else, and Charles. Was there anybody else there? Is that it? We just sat here, and I assumed he was gonna do that and help everybody, send them the stuff they need, because he was the expert. I think clearly he said, it's here, go for it, it's yours, basically. I didn't hear him helping to oversee or even give you much of anything. Was that your consensus? Wow, what did you think?
I haven't spoken more on that. The last, if he was one over there, yes.
He was there that day. He was one sitting across from us.
But I guess trying to get some of this started along with everything else we've had, it's been kind of difficult for Charles Ryan, the sheriff's office people. So I know Angie has started on some of it.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a little bit. One day we stopped in, she was saying that they've got a lot of good programs. But what exactly, I guess, does Mark Schaefer do? And Alan, you had said you got an email from him on an overview.
Oh, just on OSHA, on some OSHA documentation. So,
So that's what he's doing for the county, is the OSHA documentation.
he does some checking to make sure there's no problems with the auditor's office on that.
Just at the auditor's office or checking through the auditor's office? For the whole county? That's
I don't know how to answer that question to answer you there, Lyle. I'm not sure. I don't know that answer.
It's just, we're trying to see what we're buying, and that's what I was trying to ask him, what are we buying?
That's fair. No,
And we might be buying something, but it doesn't seem like very much. And so I do not want to go forward with this.
I think, again, not to be discrediting or belittling, but if the head of the organization, if the total head of the organization isn't committed to a safety program, then we're just wasting time. And I don't think you can say you're committed to a safety program if you don't do any of the training. Period.
I have read over the slips and falls, how to walk on snow and things like that. They sent me the email, so I don't know what you're getting after here, but some of this stuff is recommendations, and I'm not saying that we can't look at things, and everybody needs to read an email on how to slide your feet on the snow, but for $1,000 a month, it's kind of expensive to get that email. So, I mean, we can get that. I mean, I could probably write some recommendations like that for free. So I just do not think this is a wise expense of $1,000. I'm not for anybody operating out of, not of safety, and I think maybe an incentive to employees, because, you know, they're gonna police each other in a way of, hey, that looks dangerous. Maybe it's an option, but this option specifically, we're not buying hardly anything for $6,000, in my opinion. But we're not helping the department heads either. So I'm not for this. Has not changed. So what do we need to do?
I think, no, I think it's important to have an overview. I think Mark Schaefer, despite anyone's understanding of what his value has been, we're in a better shape than before he came here. But I'm not going to fight you on it. I mean, if you're not going to do the safety training, be committed to it, it is a waste of money for us to put any more dollars in safety. And when IMWCA comes knocking on our door again, then I'll let you deal with them.
So I need to go check a box that I read an email, how to walk on slick snow. That's going to do something for somebody.
Jacob, it's setting an example.
Well, I'm trying to set an example.
Okay.
What are we doing?
I'm ready to move to the next one.
Yep.
Okay.
So no approval, no discussion, no more discussion at this time. Okay. Next item up is discuss Invenergy proposal with Page County Horizons. Okay, Jane, you're going to be the spokesperson? Okay.
We're going to have a few other people that
Okay.
afterwards, but
Okay.
I got on the agenda on this today because at one time we thought you were voting on it today, and then a little bit later, you're voting on it Thursday, and I didn't get here in time to hear. That's not even happening. But that's why I'm on the agenda, because we want to be able to have a voice before you vote on the proposal. So what I understand is the supervisors were delivered the Invenergy proposal by J.D. King with his signature on it on Memorial Day. I was checking with you, J.D. What was the motivation to work on a national holiday? Was it a deadline that you had? Oh, I didn't understand you. Okay, it didn't come from anywhere? No, nobody said you have to have this by this time?
Well, then you guys had an idea, and I told them earlier, if we get it done by May, there was May.
They early.
Okay. So really, Invenergy's telling our county how to do what, when. Mr. Armstrong said at that meeting that that meeting that next Tuesday, that he'd studied the proposal for several hours that night after JD brought it to him, and that he was ready to vote. Did you find any mistakes, Alan, during your reading through there for a couple of hours?
I'm sure I did.
Were you going to vote with those mistakes in it?
I didn't say that I was going to vote that day. I just said I'm ready to make a decision.
Okay.
So, guess you don't know which way it is, do you?
You were ready to make a decision without any discussion from the.
Jane, I'm not going to discuss this right now. If you want to sit down sometime with me, I'll be glad to talk to you. But I don't think that I'm required to answer any questions that you ask me directly as Chuck or Jacob if they don't want. So.
That's interesting. On the project, this large and long lasting, is a couple of hours of study by a supervisor adequate? I'm not sure it is. Now we as citizens have had 2 or more weeks to study, and the citizens in the county have been poring over the proposal. With layman's eyes, people have found items that they have questions on, and we would just like to have the opportunity to have these questions asked and answered. It seems like Invenergy has rushed this process ahead of the vote that you 3 supervisors unanimously passed on March 20, of 21 to have a public meeting with legal counsel present after the Invenergy proposal was made public. I would like for you to follow through on that unanimous vote that was a promise that you made to us. I want it on record that I respectfully request a public meeting be held before any vote on the proposal takes place. And this is to get answers to our questions. I was kind of curious, I guess I'm not going to get the answer, but are there any examples of any other time that a corporation told you that you would vote on their request on a specific day? Do you remember that on any other business items? Do you just do what some outside corporation tells you to do? Or is it more you're running the show, not them? I think we just noticed about the board hiring outside firms to do studies on projects that are in front of them. And some of the examples of this are the county roads building. Is that right? We spent $85,000 on a study for that. The annex, did we spend any money on a study for the annex? The jail, are we going to, I think, sounds like we're going to spend money on a study for the jail. I cannot comprehend why there would not be a neutral, unconnected to wind turbine industry acceptable to both sides outside engineering firm hired to look over the proposal. It's pretty much bigger than any of the other things that you have gotten examples of studies for things to go. And Marianne, do you have a fast way of saying, is now the time for you to talk about the liability? It's not like we're putting money out for these studies.
To me, it appears that the county has huge liability with adopting a project that may not be a cash outlay. But there are many areas of liability that the county is going to assume in accepting the proposal. And it could be studied by professionals to look at some of those areas to advise the county as they make this decision.
Okay. You guys understand what she was saying on that?
Sure.
So I kind of look at JD as the fall guy on this project. He got assigned the decision. It's up to you, JD. What are we going to do? And I was just checking what your experience with wind turbines is.
2011, 12, Fayette County, put up 15 windmills.
Is that where you were?
That's the extent. Duties here, it's zoning. I do have a set of plans for an engineer building, not just a step. But we expect however many years.
Yeah. So you bought a plan that didn't get used.
But doesn't say it won't get used, is what he's trying to tell you.
I said didn't get used, not won't get used. Did you notice some kind of verbiage problems in the proposal? There were townships mixed up in the counties. This township went with this county and these townships. Did you notice that when you were going over?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
This is not an inquisition of JD. This
Yeah.
is a board of
Yeah.
supervisor meeting. If you wish to converse with JD,
Can you
do it
that?
outside of
Yeah.
our meeting,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Yeah, if you
Please.
have,
If you've got questions of JD.
So is it okay if we get a number of people together?
If you want to list out your questions, and please send them, and we'll answer them as best as we can.
Absolutely.
If they listed,
You know, there's-
if they listed the questions for the engineer, we'd have the engineer come up here and answer. I mean, this is not, I won't get out of order here or anything, but asking the county engineer questions or engineer questions.
I guess it's the same with the jail.
No.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, JD, I'd like you to, kind of study the decommissioning thing. It's murky, and I'll give you that assignment we'll get a group of people together and we'll hand you some questions, and then you can meet with us. If you so wish, if you want to. Something I would like to see before the proposal is signed is for the supervisors to take time to visually lay their eyes on each turbine. These are $3.3 to $4 million buildings on each site. And I think have you gone to visit jails as a group
Not as a group.
No. But I don't, this is a huge deal, and I'm not sure why you couldn't take the time before you vote on a proposal to go out and visually lay your eyes on each place where there's going to be a turbine and understand what it looks like, how close it looks like to somebody. Of course, you can't picture it with a 600-foot turbine on it. Our county was founded on grassroots power coming from the bottom up, not the top down. Responsible leadership will respond to the voice of the people. The majority have been ignored and disrespected. In the recent election, the grassroots stood up and made their voice heard. And if you're not willing to listen to the will of the people, you've been elected to serve on this matter, you're leaving us with no other recourse but to take some legal action to discover why your attitudes and actions have been so resolute and sometimes hostile against the citizenry that wants changes in the ordinance. Two of you have been totally in favor of the billion-dollar corporation against the rest of us. And I don't know what you're willing to give up to do that. I believe they will drop you like hotcakes after you've reached the end of your usefulness to them. And I'm just wondering what you're willing to give up for Invenergy. Respect, maybe some sleep, peace of mind, an election. I have somebody else that has a statement, Dale.
What I'm going to read is for you two people and for our Invenergy people. It's Iowa Code 331.301, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, but you're ignoring it. It says, a county may exercise any power and perform any function it deems appropriate to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and property of the county or of its residents, and to preserve and to improve the peace, safety, health, welfare, comfort, and convenience of its residents. So you tell me, Mr. Morris, and you tell me, Mr. Armstrong, and you tell me, Mr. Invenergy people, you tell me how these wind turbines fit into this Iowa code. They don't. And you know it. And you're ignoring it. And your body language, Mr. Morris, is despicable. The disrespect that you're showing us is unacceptable for a county leader. You've done it for over 2.5 years, and we're tired of it. And yes, we will file a lawsuit.
Kim Tudor, you have a little bit to say?
I've been working my way through the information that's provided on the supervisor's whoopsie doodle. On the homepage on the proposal. A lot of differences from one side to the other. During the past several months and years, we've been told repeatedly from members of the board, two in particular, that they don't want to hear hypothetical situations. They don't want to hear issues that we are predicting could happen or that there's a potential that something could happen. However, on the other side now, we're seeing in the information provided by Invenergy, the noise study specifically, everything is, well, there's the potential of this, and we predict this is how it's going to be, and possibly the levels will be this, but that seems to be acceptable. However, the other side of the coin, it was not acceptable. It's also been said repeatedly, I don't want to hear information unless it's from Iowa. You show me an Iowa ordinance that has different setbacks and we might listen. Well, once again, all of these experts that are listed in this proposal are from other states. They're from Illinois, they're from wherever. They're not Iowa experts, but yet we're relying on their opinions, but we can't listen to anybody outside of Iowa to develop our ordinance. A little confusion here. The other thing that really struck me hard was the lack of details in the environmental study. I think the one that really hit home was to question, doesn't our national symbol, the bald eagle, deserve a little bit more than we'll try to minimize potential impacts? That bird that sits on top of that flagpole right there deserves more than we'll try to minimize. Just like other things on the wetlands and the water body here. Well, to the extent that's practical, who determines that? This is vague, this is open. Basically, these are all the concerns that everybody's been voicing, and it is pushing the county into a lawsuit. It's leaving no choice but to move forward on it.
Ashley Bear, oh, not Bear Horse, Ospey.
Do you guys have a map in front of you of the wind turbine proposal that you got? Okay, good.
Page County, I don't have Fremont. but I-
Okay, good. I would like to play this for you, and then if you look at your map.
I don't know if I have my map.
Can you just give us the boundaries of it, just where is it? I don't know. I mean, so the exact area.
Tell them what that audio is from.
Well, I'll explain it. What this is about is the boundaries of the map. So this is what happened at the meeting on January 25th, what was told to us.
And boundaries. Can you lay that out, the boundaries? Can you just give us the boundaries of it, just where is it? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, so the exact area, I mean, we can spell that out in a map and, you know. Just roughly, I mean, we know you're in the southwest corner. Are you, how far east do you come, just by town? I mean,
Well, we straddle the line between Page and Fremont County. You know, if you go directly south of Shenandoah, that's probably about midway point of the project. And then it goes, you know, 5 miles in each direction.
So directly south of Shenandoah, 5 miles, basically each way, and then all the way.
And it's not even a coin then. Right, not even a coin.
How far do you get?
We do like almost get to coin. And so, and it's on the Missouri border, going like all the way to the Missouri border, then going north.
That's kind of what I gathered there. And you've talked to the people who are not wanting to be part of this, or you've talked about.
So by looking at the map,
could you tell me where the boundary goes? It's way past Coin, isn't it? The boundary they have outlined for the Shand Hill project that they handed in.
Of the towers or of the green?
The boundary line,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, blue line.
the boundary line.
Goes over to,
College Springs.
yeah, College Springs. Yeah.
Okay, so did they lie to us? Okay, but they said the Shenandoah Hills project.
Yeah.
Now they've handed the Shenandoah Hills project in, and the boundary line is almost to College Springs. So therefore, me being a common sense person, I would say they're getting everything they want from us if you vote this through. Am I correct or not? They're getting half of our county?
I don't know how to answer that question. I'm not sure what answer you're looking for. Actually, I mean, what are they getting?
I'm looking for my supervisor to tell me.
They have land leases all the way over to, and even one, it looks like a green spot that is outside of the blue line. So.
But if you vote this through, you're voting through more than the Shenandoah Hills project by me looking at that map. You're voting through that whole boundary of what's inside that map.
The map needs to be fixed. The boundary.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, why are we letting them talk? We couldn't let JD talk.
Because they're trying to answer your question.
JD was answering questions.
I have no comment.
I'm asking my supervisors to answer this question.
I have no comment.
Yeah. I guess they went out and the land leases were done from both directions, from Taylor County side, from the Fremont side. Those are all put together. Those people all have agreed to allow either utility lines or future projects.
Let me stop right there. There's people signed up in East River.
Yeah.
So why does the boundary not go?
That I don't know. This is all I have. I don't have any.
My question to you is why would you vote this map through when they have extended their boundary and are getting way more than what they originally came to you for? So therefore, when you vote that map through, they are going to plaster even more turbines in this county because you've already voted it through and nobody can stop it from my understanding.
The only project that we're voting on is a proposed.
Which is in that boundary line.
Proposed turbines, those 28 turbines, that's all.
So then I would say they need to fix their boundary lines and come back to you. Their boundary line should quit at the 28 turbines.
Put it on my list of questions.
That's a concern. That is a concern.
Very good question, actually. I will put that on the list. Thank you.
And I also have the same thing with the respect given at this is insane. And we got on the agenda to get questions answered. And for you guys not to sit here and answer questions is ridiculous. And for Alan, I cannot stand here enough times and you say, well, call me and I'll answer questions. You can answer them right here in front of this audience. We want it on public record. You guys have lied so much that I will not ever call you and listen to a lie. I want it on public record. So we get on the agenda to ask questions just like everybody else, just like the jail study, everybody. They get on the agenda for you guys to answer questions. So answer our questions.
Because in all fairness, when those studies or when those questions such as the jail, Mark Schaefer, all of those, we have asked for those to be on the agenda. We have aggressively asked for that to be here.
That's new news for me. Did you know that, Jacob? Did you know
Whenever,
that when somebody, you have to ask them
It's
to
only
be?
if, I don't agree with that. It's not only the people we're interested in that we'll talk to. I mean,
That is,
people that live here and pay taxes
You
here.
just brought up those particular items, and those were asked to be on the agenda. Those particular items you just mentioned Chuck asked to be on the agenda, Jacob would have seen that, it would have come through to him as well.
Okay, so let me ask you, so you're telling me that a citizen cannot be asked to be put on the agenda for you to answer questions to?
I would much rather have that person call and ask.
I know you would, because you don't want anything on public
The point
record.
I think the point you're trying to make is you might not have research the
Yeah,
specific
yeah,
answer, but
yeah.
they have the right to ask, and then maybe next
Sure.
week you can give the answer in
Yeah,
public.
sure.
Because public is
And
what matters.
As I was going to mention to James,
Well, then, could they please not say that they have researched this? He said the last meeting that he had researched for 2 hours on this.
I did, and actually, in all fairness, there were some questions that I came up with that I still am waiting on answers from.
And why could you not say that? Why could you not say, because honestly, I have been
Actually-
here, it's my turn to talk, Alan.
Very fun.
I have been here for 3 years, and so what you're telling me holds no weight, because for 3 years, you guys have said, well, I'll research that and get back to you. Nobody's gotten back to me. I'm asking the same questions for 3 years, decommissioning, height, now the boundary line. Nobody's getting back to us on anything.
This has been forever.
Yeah, forever. You guys have had 3 years to study your ordinance.
The real travesty here is that a year ago, or when, I mean, as recently as a year ago, that was after we've been doing it for a year and a half. The setback was talked about. I talked about it back in 19. We all talked about that has not been addressed. Is just terrible. That's not even some big
Jacob,
complicated thing.
can I ask you a question on setbacks? So
Yeah.
These proposed wind turbines, how many setbacks are from the property line or closer than the 1,250 feet from the property line?
It's 1,500.
Or 1,500 feet. I mean.
It looked to me like, on top of my head, I was taking notes and calling people. Some of them are here, looking at what I could tell.
Pardon?
Several.
Which, do you have any idea?
Well, Brad Hutchison's sitting right back there. I think he's pretty close. Steve Weiss. There's an Alan Hutchison. I'm probably different names. There's something else.
Yeah, Brad, it looked like to me, and I can't quite get the measurement of the little squares here, but I know Brad was one of those,
the Mathers, another big.
The Mathers, and those three are all farther away, I believe.
Well.
Yeah.
Which you said you had already studied.
And in the thing is, it's just, there's also a ton of landowners that I've made that argument forever and ever and ever beyond the house. But those places that aren't green, if they ever want to build there, land is like gold to get. So if you have a 40 or an 80 or whatever and intends to build, they're losing. All those people are even talking about. We're only talking about people with absolute houses that are absolutely almost at that bare minimum. All the lost rights of the most common right is going to build a home to live in on any piece of ground. That's common. That's been since the beginning of time. To build a wind turbine is not your most common right. They're losing of a 40 or whatever they have a large portion of that because of the ordinance. And we talked about this 2 years ago, and it seemed to make sense, but nothing ever happened. It should have been done then, and then this wouldn't be happening now. And if they came, they would come right, and maybe they would pay some on people, and maybe they would agree to it, and maybe there would be all this arguing. I think that would have been the fair way. I've said that 100 times. This is ridiculous. This has went this long, and that's why nobody wants to be here right now. Nobody does.
But
The
we
right
all
thing
want to
has got to be
save
done.
our farms that our families have built for generations. So Alan, Chuck, Jacob, if you could please check that boundary line for me.
That's an excellent question.
Because I do not agree with it, and I do not agree with, I know what we're dealing with sitting over here. And if you think you're gonna vote that through and they're not gonna have the right to put turbines on all them green areas whenever they want, I think you're crazy. And you give me a good reason why they will not be able to put turbines and extend their turbine project into them green areas where that boundary line is.
That's a very good question.
Okay.
And the last thing I would like to address is the respect. Me and Chuck talked about this last night at the meeting. He said there's a lot of people that stand up here and are disrespectful. And I said that I've seen a lot of supervisors sit here and be very disrespectful. And it came true right when Jane started, Alan. That was totally disrespectful. And how you guys can let two people come into the county and sit back there in them chairs and laugh and giggle. I've been standing over there watching them when these residents get up here and speak. And you want to talk about disrespect? We're citizens that live in this county. We care about this county. When I was 18 years old, I represented this county with a badge across my chest that said Page County, and I took it way more seriously than you two 60-year-old men.
Ryan.
Well, that's gonna be hard to follow. Now you can see why I don't win any arguments. Just a couple things, kind of piggyback off of what Jane had said. The May 31st meeting, so which had been the last meeting we had here, because last week was the election. Alan ridiculed Jacob because Jacob was in the field trying to get crops in. And you said, you ridiculed Jacob, and you shaking your head, no, we'll find the audio for you to replay it. When you said, Jacob, that's your job as a supervisor to review it. I spent over 2 hours on this, and yet not one question did you have, Alan. And I spend less than 15 minutes reviewing it and find errors. Just disgusts me.
Yes.
Alan and Chuck, I truly think you guys thought you were in the majority. The primary last week showed you weren't. And the biggest area of the primary showed that you weren't in the majority is where the people are going to be affected by this turbine in the rural area. I am letting you know now, as you've probably been alluded from the papers that Jesse Stimson sent you on the FOIA request, that you will be forcing us citizens into a lawsuit against you. Our legal counsel has informed us that we will not just be looking into your county records or your county emails, but we may be forced into pursuing your personal and financial records along with your spouses and adult children. Your personal information will no longer be personal. I am letting you know now. Now is the time to save your face and do what the voters said last Tuesday and what we've been begging for the last 2.5 years to do.
I'll just end it by repeating that I would like it to be on record that we are requesting a public meeting be held before any vote on the proposal takes place. And I don't know if other people agree, but yes, but we could send should we send our questions into them to see before that? I would. I'll say I will, because that might help you.
Sure.
Not, do a little research.
Being wise. I'm not a speaker. I don't have any notes. I'm just here. And there's gonna be a windmill across the road from me, Eddie Corner across the road. And when we built that house 10 years ago, we thought we were pretty secluded. And now it's gonna be pretty darn close. And I think you guys ought to really think about this for the next month or two and put your votes off for a while. I had a good neighbor, he was a lot smarter than me, and he always said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you guys think about that a little bit. And I was invited to the Elks yesterday with all the windmill people. And the reason I was invited is because Christy McEnany called me one day and she says, I know you don't want a windmill, but do you want to be a good neighbor? I said, I'd like to be a good neighbor whenever I can. Anyway, there's a gentleman, I own 60 acres in Fremont County. And I know the guy, the neighbor, and in fact, he just lost his wife. And he needed money, I suppose. And he signed up for the windmills. And they said, if I didn't let him go ahead and do it, he wasn't going to get a windmill. So I went ahead and done it. That's why I got invited to listen to the windmill people yesterday. And boy, everything was great. And then last night I went to Farragut. It was a different story. It was a lot different story. There's people there talking and they're talking about neighbors not getting along anymore. You know, the old expression, good fences make good neighbors, just like they were talking about the pigs out and the goats out. Well, you can't hardly put a fence around a windmill, but maybe we ought to. You ought to think about that. Yeah, it'd have to be a pretty tall fence, but we try to keep our things in, but a windmill, you can't. You know, the lights and the noise and in fact, that noise last night about drove me nuts when they were, I don't know, I just don't understand it. But you know, you guys are supposed to be working for us. And I think a week ago, we spoke more than 2 to 1. So let your conscience be your guide. That's all I got to say.
The other thing I want to have on record is a request that the supervisors take the time to visually lay eyes on the site for each turbine where it's going to be placed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Linda? Okay, next item is board communication.
I have one. I would like this, with this Thursday meeting that's not being done now, the way that came in and the way that just seems so strange to me. Before any meeting is going to be held to vote on this, I want that to be discussed in a meeting and decided on. Not done in between meetings. Does that make sense? What we talked about. That's just, because that was just curveball. And then, like Dean said, and like others, I am working on this project, going through it. I've been trying to call people. There's some people I have not got a hold of yet. There's some people I got a hold of that knew there was a wind turbine project, but didn't have any clue there was one that close to them. These people that are really close, there's some of them didn't have any idea. They heard it was a couple miles south or whatever. They had no idea. So I'm trying to make sure they know what's going on, just to let them know that they're informed. I just really want to just say that again. This is going to take some time to do this right. And I have to go to Council Bluffs tomorrow with Southwest Iowa Juvenile Detention, and I will ask about the metal test.
Okay, super. Thanks, sir.
Nothing.
I think I don't have anything until next week, SWIPCO. Okay, approve minutes.
Are we agreeing that we will discuss in a meeting?
Sure.
Okay, just want to make sure we're agreeing.
I
When we
think next
plan,
week
make
it will
the
be
plan.
on the agenda to have a future meeting again. So,
We'll discuss it next week to figure it out.
yes.
Okay.
We'll,
As long as it's in the meeting, we can discuss it. All right. The minutes look good to me.
okay,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll adjourn.
Dinner time.
Do I need to sign this?